Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to the Adrr Racing TV. And we're here for a new series. It is the Adrr Gridmasters series. It's a community-based series where tonight we'll have Adrr, Grdc, Potato Nation, and Onid all battling it out to see who can be crowned as the best community here on Le Mans Ultimates. My name is Max Ring, and joining me tonight will be the wonderful Paul Glover. How are you, Paul, on this Saturday evening?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Max. Thank you for being here. This is an unusual event. At first, kind of something we've done like this at Adrr before, and I know Steve, who's currently in the booth and will be popping here and there and everywhere, I'm sure, making sure things are running smoothly this evening. As you say, 4 communities, 4 races. Each community has chosen a track, and let's see how well this goes this evening.
I'll just quickly jump in there, Paul, just to relieve you of your commentating duties to focus on your broadcasting duties, because it wouldn't be an Adrr event without some gremlins, and gremlins we do have right now. But Max, I just wanted to say thank you for jumping in and being our commentator this evening. I'm going to be your Ted Kravitz, is what I was going to say just before we went on air. I'll be your Ted Kravitz. I'll be coming up with the championship standings. I'll be in the background doing the servers and stuff, but I'm here to provide a little bit of extra info around what's going on.
Yes, of course. There's 3 of us here in the comms box, should I say. Instead of just me and Paul, we've also got Steve as well. But as you can see on your screens, round 1 for this evening, we are going to the historic Circuit de la Sarthe, the circuit that everybody wants to win at, of course, Le Mans. That will be round 1. It was picked by Onid, and it should be a very interesting race indeed. Then we're quickly heading over for round 2, picked by Grdc, is Sebring over in the United States, an absolute staple of endurance racing. Before then, we switch over to the Middle East to go to the Bahrain outer circuit, not the normal layout, the outer layout. That will be the 3rd race picked by Adrr ourselves, of course. And then finally, picked by Potato Nation, it will be Fuji for round 4, which I think actually also has some interchangeable conditions in it as well. The other 3, I think, are dry races. And after that, we have some wet races, a wet race at Fuji. And make sure you check out our shop as well. As you could see, some lovely t-shirts there, and all for quite a decent price, 20 quid a pop. If you're looking for a t-shirt and you want to support us, make sure you pick up a lovely shirt from the shop. And then, of course, another new series coming along the way, the Adrr Endurance Championship. Dates are to be confirmed, but that will be your calendar for the season. It should be an interesting one indeed. But Paul, we'll be heading over soon to Le Mans, of course, with Flat Out Thursdays on the way as well for a new season, Season 3, which will be coming soon. No confirmed dates, but it will be very shortly indeed. But Paul, before we head over to Le Mans, there's some exciting things coming our way from Adrr.
Yeah, definitely some exciting things. FOT Season 1 and 2, very successful championships with the hypercars and the GT3s out on track. And we've had some great racing. Yeah, we're really excited about Season 3. And obviously with the new content for Le Mans Ultimate underway, I'm sure at some point we'll throw in the new tracks as they start appearing. But Silverstone, the first one up. So I can imagine... I know Steve's not giving it away so far, but I imagine he's probably planning to put Silverstone in there. But there we go. But yeah, and we're now into qualifying for Le Mans.
Yes, we certainly are indeed. On board currently with Nathan Healy as he's just heading through the final chicane. Of course, here at Le Mans, it is pretty much a one-and-done affair when it comes to qualifying. Starting your first lap, and by the time you finish it, the session will be over. We've got 5 minutes of qualifying, followed by a 20-minute race for all of the circuits here this evening. Of course, we'll start off here at Circuit de la Sarthe. So for James West in the portrait, see what he could potentially uphold as we head around this magnificent racing venue. Of course, part permanent circuit and then also part street circuit, especially heading down that Sand straight. Of course, James West driving for us here at Adrr, looking to see if he can help us be the better, well, the better community teams of the lot, Paul. And for James, it seemed like a very nice first couple of corners.
Yeah, no, it does, and we can now go on board with him as well. This is James West, also aka Gamer Muscle, racing for Adrr. It's unusual to see him in a competitive race. I'm interested to see how he will do this evening. He's, as you all know, those who follow his streams, is always racing and tries out all the different sims. But I think he's got a. Steve, you know him really well. Has he got a bit of a softball for Le Mans Ultimate?
He does like LMU. He likes all of the sims. Like, if you watched his content, you would think that he hates them all, but actually he pretty much likes them all for different reasons. But he does hate them all for different reasons as well. But yeah, he likes LMU. He dislikes GT3s, so perfect choice for him tonight. But yeah, no, he'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting that because it's the Circuit de la Sarve, and some drivers have not managed to put a valid lap in by the looks of things. So as you can see, we've got the likes of CB and McDevitt and Howard already finished. They've crossed the line, but no valid lap times up at the moment. Mark Gueno, who's an Adrr racer, is currently the fastest in sector 1, but kind of nicely followed by Alistair Ramsey in fastest in sector 2. Bring up the qualified information. They show me he's got purple in both. I don't believe that to be correct. I think the overlay is wrong, because as you can see here, Mark Guino's got 37.463, and Alistair's only done a 37.7, so the in-game overlay is actually incorrect there. Interesting, but yeah, 2 to keep an eye on.
Certainly are indeed. Of course, Alistair Ramsey racing for Grdc. I know he's recently made that switch over to the Mustang that he is driving for this evening, so he certainly is a man to watch, as they are pretty much neck and neck on the circuit. You can see it smoothly transitions in to Ramsey, who then head over through the Porsche curves. What's this going to be for, of course, the man carrying Grdc on his shoulders alongside the likes of the Freeze, Cook, 40 Pure, Zoltan Varkoni, Timmy Lettinen, Mark Cooley and Adam Rios are battling it out for that stable as they now head into the final chicane. What's this lap time going to be from Ramsey? You can see Jura on that right-hand side, picturing picture mode. They are oh so close, heading up to the line. Who's going to come out on top in this one? You would think it's going to be the Aston Martin who makes it to the line first, but Paul, who got the quicker time?
It actually looks like a Lucas Barca, I think, because we've overlooked him. So he's done a 3:58.9 overall, and Mark Guino did a 3:59.031, and Alistair was about half a second back from Mark there. So yeah, surprisingly, isn't it? That yeah, it's because it's such a large circuit. It's really hard to understand who's going to be the fastest, Max.
It certainly is, because of course the circuit ebbs and flows. Different cars have different strengths at different parts of the circuit. Of course, the Mustang is quite quick in a straight line. Actually, it's quite slippery. So down that middle sector, down the Mulsanne straight, and then into Indianapolis as well. That's where it's going to be strongest. And then for the likes of, say, the Aston Martin or something like that, they're quite nimble through the corners, so they can navigate them quite well. And to be only separated by 900ths of a second at a track this long as well, it's quite interesting to see, just to see how evenly matched they were.
Yes, indeed. And as we switch now to the in-race session, we'll go back live and we'll give you the starting order.
Yes, so the starting order for this evening's race, it's Lucas Barca and Mark Guino on the front row, both in Aston Martins. Then it's Alistair Ramsey in third, with Alfie Bevan in fourth. in the Lamborghini and the Mustang respectively. Then it's Sultan Varkonyi, someone to certainly look out for, was one of the strongest GT3 drivers in GRDC's category. Then Robert Pure and Hendrik de Vries. A very strong start here actually, Paul, from GRDC with the amount of drivers they have in that top 10. Then it's Adam Rios and Martin Lewis in the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Vladislav and Dave Wood on the 6th row of the grid, occupied by both the BMWs. Then it's Jordan Forty and Tom Goers. They're both also in BMWs, so the BMWs all herding together, it seems. There's another one appears of Leon Visperas and Fabian in 16th. Then on row 9 we have Tyler Hammer and Mark Cooley, followed by Ben Brown and Nick Manders, which then leads us to row 11 of Nigel O'Brien and Jurban Kelly. Before row 12 is Alexander and Andy Hearn in the McLaren and the BMW. The first McLaren we've actually seen, I think, on the grid. Then it's Nathan Healy and James West, who's on board with at the start of that qualifying session. And CB, of course, who wasn't able to get the valid laps on the board. Same also with Chris McDevitt and Tom Osborne. I know him very well. He's certainly someone to look out for in the Adrr ranks. And it's James Coley and Dean Powell in 31st and 32nd. And then Zach Silva and Justin Wellbeloved in, of course, 34th. And then rounding out the field is GRDC's own Richard Cook in 35th. An 18-row grid. Should be some really interesting battles here, Paul. And of course for GRDC, having I think 4 of the drivers in the top 10, that'll be some mega points coming their way if they're able to hold on to it.
Yeah, no, indeed. And is Richard, is that unusual for Richard to qualify at the back there? I mean, you all know him very, very well as you commentate on GRDC.
No, I would say he's someone who should be more near the mid-pack, to be fair. He's very much a mid-pack driver, is Richard Cook. So, yeah, I'm quite surprised by that one. So potentially just couldn't get the lap time on the board. Or, yeah, I know some of the GRDC boys, they prefer to just sit in the pit lane and save the tyres for the race.
Well, I've seen him in P29, so I don't know why the overlay showed him that. Yeah, so I'll have a look at that.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, showed him in P29, so one of the overlay there has put a couple of cars out of order.
That could be interesting to see. As of course, you can see the herd of GT3s rolling their way to the green flag. It will be Barassa who leads us to the green, and Adrr 1-2, then followed by Alistair Ramsey for GRDC. So we'll head to the green flag command now. When does it start to fly? As you see the snake of cars come out the final chicane, and we are green flag racing now for 20 minutes of the Circuit de la Sarthe. It's a good start there from Barassa. He's able to hold in front of his GRDC teammate. We've got 3 wide in the background. That's for Konyi, and Alistair Ramsey potentially going to blows for GRDC. It's round the outside goes the Lamborghini. That was Bevan, sorry, not for Konyi. A little bit of contact made potentially between Bevan and also Jarena, as we now head down the hill through the Dunlop curves. Alistair Ramsey's lost out on that 3rd place, a yellow flag in the background, but it is of course a brilliant start there for Bevan, who's been able to move himself up into 3rd.
Nicely done there by Bevan, but Lucas Barsa then continues to stay in 1st position at the start there. Mark Gowena in 2nd, and Alfie Bevan, as you rightly point out, gained a position, is in the top 3.
Yeah, lovely start there from Alfie Bevan, of course, driving for Onid tonight as well. So they've had a good start to things, as here actually comes Sultan Varkonyi on Jacobs as they head now down the Mulsanne straight. Alistair Ramsey potentially having to go back at Bevan into the first of the Mulsanne chicanes. Who's got to come out on top in that scrap? For Konyi to the inside in his Lamborghini. Can he pull this one off? He would love to do so around the outside now through the second part. Goes a little bit off the circuit, has to just rejoin somewhat in front of the BMW, but they're still hustling side by side. Ramsey wasn't able to get past on Bevan as we head down into the second chicane down this Mulsanne straight. And for Konyi, still squabbling away, but he will have that optimal inside line for the second part of the next chicane.
Yeah, and also I think we've got Alistair Ramsey trying to make a move here on Alfie Bevan. There's a little bit of door banging going on and Alfie Bevan keeps their position for now. But yeah, Alistair Ramsey really wants that move, and I think also we got Tyler Hammond, now Nigel O'Brien making moves further back, and as you can see, there's a really close gaggle up ahead. I think that might be. Yeah, look, I mean, I've never seen so many cars in one of our streams before. There's carnage, there's just close battles everywhere.
There certainly is, and here comes Alistair Ramsey back to the inside once more. Is he going to finally be able to pull that move back on Alfie Bevan? Off the road goes the Lamborghini.
Oh, there's a car round in the background, the number 94.
Car round in the back there. Not sure who that is, falling now down the order, and they're going to fall to the back of this queue, and potentially the other one as well, as Ramsey was able to get past Bevan, as Fabian is now all side by side, of course, now heading up into Indianapolis. Is he going to be able to potentially get a move done here? As he, of course, lies in 19th place currently. So as he now looks to the inside line, as actually Bevan's got that move back done on Alistair Ramsey. Slipstream is key. Sander Jacobs under pressure from Zoltan Vakonyi as well. Both the GRDC drivers having differences into the next corner, contrasting fortunes at the moment, and Zoltan Vakonyi not able to get by. But what about Ramsey? Can he still get that move done? No, Bevan able to hold on to things once again. But you can just see here as well, Paul, that straight line speed from the Mustang.
Yeah, that Mustang's got a lot of grunt in that car, and I'm just loving the side by side, a little bit of the contact, and the Lamborghini is back through. So Alfie Bevan, they're back into 3, but you've also got Alistair Ramsey and Sander Jacobs having a great battle right behind them as well.
Yes, we certainly do, and Vakonyi, of course, still trying to hustle all over the back of Jacobs, trying to put him under as much pressure as possible, and we might have just seen a mistake, and round goes Jacobs, and he's into the wall, losing that rear wing. That is a race ender. Oh, there's somebody else off as well, not sure who that is, who has joined him in the kitty litter, but unfortunately 2 cars off through the Porsche curves. And for Sander Jacobs, who was battling for that 5th place with Zoltan Vakonyi, sees himself spin round. He'll go into pit lane. Of course, wherever you finish, you score points, so they will still want to make this one to the line, but no chance of some big points coming the way of Jacobs as he now dives into pit lane.
Yeah, that's really, really unfortunate for him. I'd like to point out at the front, Lucas Barsa's really showing some pace right now. Mark Gowina is 2.2 seconds up the road already, and then Alfie Bevan is a further 1.3, 1.5 back, and the gaps are starting to open up. So we've got Sander Jacobs in the pits. We've also got Dave Wood. Apologies, Dave Wood is into the pits too. So I'm thinking that's the car. But I've not quite worked out who the 94 was that we saw spun earlier on as well. But there are some fantastic battles going on. I'm seeing positional changes all over the place at the moment. I don't know where to look.
Yeah, you can just see as well in the timing towers how close some of these cars are, and they're all just swapping places left, right and centre, as here's, of course, Tyler Hammer being put under some pressure by O'Brien as we now head down into the first chicane. Who's going to come out on top in this one? Is it just going to be an easy move? Yes, it is. O'Brien sees himself up into that 14th place, and Hammer gets demoted ever so slightly. Of course, a very long lap here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. As you can see, already nearly 6 minutes gone on the clock as James Cowley now sees himself out of the chicane. And a little squabble just behind him as well, between one of the McLarens and the BMW. But 14 minutes left to go. There's really not many opportunities around a circuit like the Mon in these sort of sprints, is there, Paul? So you've got to get them done when you can.
Yes, no, indeed. Really have got to try and make the movers. I think that's Tom Osborne in the background making a move, so he's now up into, or he might just be defended actually, I'm not actually quite sure, but he's currently in P20. James Cowley is also I think he's now up into P18, but I can see there's Ramsey is who we saw fighting with Sander Jacobs is now in P5, so he's behind Zoltan. And I can see there's a bit of a battle for P10 at the moment too. So yeah, there's as you can see, there's just gaggles of cars, isn't there, Max? It's just hard to know where everything is.
Yeah, it certainly is, because of course you have one train and then a smaller train in beneath that all squabbling away, and the real bit of information we do know is that Lucas Barassa is absolutely flying away at the front of the field. That gap's still about 2.7 seconds. But of course, for Adrr, they don't care what order either Joanna or Barassa finish as long as they score the points. But of course, there is also that driver's standing element as well that these drivers will be looking out for as we head into the Porsche curves for the second time in this race. And actually Wood has retired from the race. I've just seen that on the timing tower. He was unfortunately DNF, so no points coming his way. So for Onid, we're not going to get any points from that one, and that's really unfortunate to see as we now head into the Porsche curves once more. And of course, for Barassa and Joanna, they're just really extending their legs over Alfie Bevan, and no one else is really able to get close.
No, indeed. I can see that Zoltan's just set a purple in Sector 2 in that very, very lovely livery Lambo. I must admit, I'm a big fan of that. And he's only half a second back at the moment from Ramsey, as you can see in the Mustang. So, yeah, potentially he's going to come under a little bit of pressure. There's a couple of close by. I can see Mark Corley and James Cowley are pretty close by. We've got a little bit of side-by-side action as well between Fabian and Tom behind too. So with this many cars, there's we can point the camera in many different places, and we'll see some overtakes. But Tom Osborne now up into P18. Oh, is it contact?
Ooh. Oh, I think that's 3 cars involved. I think Osborne might have got collected in all of that one as well. So unfortunate there for him to potentially pick up some front end damage, but it was the Lexus and Cooley who unfortunately saw themselves come together, and now they'll both have some damage, you would think, to their wagons, and they'll be battling with bruised vehicles. As you now see a BMW now coming up all over the back of the Lexus as we enter the Mulsanne straight. Of course, with that damage, of course, you lose a bit of aero as well, so you become even more draggier down the straights, don't you, Paul? So you somewhat become a sitting duck.
Yes, exactly, especially around here as we jump on board with Tyler Hammer, who is coming in P19, a position not long held by Tom Osborne, and we're chasing down Alexander Mitchen. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, yeah, some slipstream, as you rightly say, is really important here. Any damage to your aero sets you back, unfortunately.
Yeah, it certainly can indeed. Of course, you've got to be efficient down those straights, but also through the corners as well. You've got to balance that. It's really a balancing act when it comes to the aerodynamics. As you can see, Hammer just potentially putting out to the inside, and look how much later he could brake in that Corvette compared to Minchin in front. And unfortunately, just wasn't able to get that move done, but a good run out of the second chicane. Could now see him move up into that 14th place. I think they are squabbling for at the moment. Of course, we saw the McLaren not too long ago get past the Corvette, and now, of course, Hammer is looking to fight back and really put that hammer down against the McLaren and make sure he picks up the position as he heads into the right hander. Of course, you're braking while turning. Really easy to lock up a tyre, but they both just able to make it through nicely. And Hammer has to sit and stay behind that McLaren and just look at that spoiler more and more as the laps tick by. It just seems that McLaren is just a little bit too quick down the straights.
It does, doesn't it, for the moment. But he's got to look for the opportunities. You know, you can sometimes, I call it mind punting. You try and put a little bit of pressure and make a move when you're not really gonna make a move. We can see that James West is getting a little bit hungry behind, currently down in P21. Mr. Gamer Muscle, so looking to make a move, but that gap's opened up ever so slightly. So yeah, we've got some interesting battles going on at the moment. But yeah, I'm wondering if Tyler Hammer's getting ever so close and is going to try and make a move, maybe through the Porsche curves. There's an opportunity.
He certainly could. Of course, that Corvette seemed to be very nimble, and he's actually going to go for it now into those Porsche curves. He was able to tuck into that slipstream, but is he going to be able to get enough to get past Alexander, who had 2 more retirements of Silver and Brown? So more disaster for Onid, as that's 3 of their cars now all out of this race. And when it's all about the team's championship and wanting to score some points, 3 no scores are going to be absolutely crucial to this championship battle, and it could be the deciding factors of if they win this championship or not.
Yeah, something's happened to Nathan Healy because he's just exited the pits. Go on.
I was just going to jump in there and just talk about points. I was just looking at the point scoring, and yeah, even if you're just picking up the last few points in the tally, imagine if your team lost by 2 or 3 points and you DNF'd in one of the earlier rounds. It's like, that's the whole point. Just stick with it, finish the race, get a couple of points for your team. They might feel insignificant now, but if you imagine P15 is picking up 32 points, there's still good points on offer for finishing in the mid-pack. So do the bit for your team and finish the race and hopefully pick up some points that could change the whole complexion of the championship.
Yeah. Valid point there, Steve. Yeah, we have got a battle on for P4, Max. Zoltan is closing that gap down at the moment, but he's still got a little bit of time to find.
Yeah, he certainly does. And of course, with these two being teammates for GRDC, they're not going to fight each other too aggressively, you would think. And if anything, we might see them just trying to swap places to potentially close up to the back of Alfie Bevan, who for Onid is really their strongest hope at the current state of things in this race. Anyway, of course, we've still got 3 more to go after this one. Next time, in the next race, we'll head over to Sebring for that one. Of course, as well, we go from one track to another with minimal time in practice and qualifying to adapt. It can shake things up slightly because certain drivers adapt differently, and it may take them more time to get into a rhythm. So we could see some mixed up grids from potentially this race, where we see, of course, Barassa leading the way. He could be down somewhere like 15th come Sebring, because it just takes that little bit of a moment to get into the rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. And Sebring, we did the 4th race there last week, the final round of season 2, and you know the amount of cars that are jumping around, because it is a bumpy track, right? It's a different type of challenge. Le Mans is all about trying to stay alert and forgetting that you've got to brake at some point at the end of the large straight. As Zoltan nearly goes into the back of his fellow compatriot. But yeah, I think it's a totally different kind of dynamic for that track compared to Le Mans, right? Because I sometimes forget, I was supposed to brake here, and I'd be like thinking about my breakfast or my dinner or my shopping and so forth, and again a little bit unfocused. So yeah, Sebring doesn't allow you that benefit, and also certain cars will perform. Not only will drivers perform better at certain tracks because they have their favourites, but so will the cars.
Yeah, they certainly will. Of course, each car has a different characteristic, and so, of course, the Mustang, very strong around the circuit like Le Mans, because it's very straight line speed and very engine powered based, whereas Sebring, you don't really have that luxury of a long straight until you get to the back straight, of course, just before that final corner. Other than that, it's very much technicality. There's a slide there. Is that from... No, that's not from Leon. That will be from Adam Rios, which now allows Leon up into that 8th place. As, of course, Robert Pure as well, just a little bit further back. As you know, sorry, it was Pure who made that mistake. Sorry, there.
It was, yeah.
To Rios.
Yeah, Robert Pure. Yeah, Rios is currently in P7 as things stand.
Yeah, I just saw that switch and I thought it was Rios, and the timing tower took a moment to make it through, but no, it was Robert Pure moving himself up, dropping down to 9th place, and is now coming under all sorts of pressure from Lewis behind as well. So could be some late race gremlins coming the way of Pure, and potentially could be some tyre drop-off, maybe pushing that tyre too hard, it starts to overheat, and mistakes like that can be made.
Yeah, indeed. Martin Lewis, one of the Adrr drivers for this competition. We like to call him Mr. Money Supermarket for obvious reasons, as a bit of a nickname. But yeah, look, had a solid race, I think, Martin. He's gained up a few positions. We've already got the white flag, so this is going to be the final lap.
Yeah, this is going to be the final lap of the race. Just shows how little laps you get here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. I think it's only been 4 so far in this race. And, of course, for Barassa this is now leading on to the final one. But for Martin, Lewis will want to get up as many positions as he possibly can. As you can see, there's Barassa in the bottom right, just making his way down the Mulsanne straights. As, of course, we see these guys about to enter it ever so shortly. And it really does show that in these short races, yes, you can get a big lead over the drivers at the bottom end of the top 10. But if you make one mistake, you have a spin, that can all come crushing down, and you can see yourself dropping into that mid-pack just due to how little time there is to really break away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, indeed. And I think Tom Osborne just gained another position there. So he's now up into P15. I can see that Martin Lewis is still... Oh, we go side by side into the chicane. Martin's got the inside line. That's going to give him an opportunity there, and he's made the move. But can he make it stick? Because the BMW's right in his slipstream.
Yes, he certainly is. Here comes Robert Pure to fight back against Lewis. Is he going to be able to pull this one off and potentially hold on to that 8th place, or is he just going to potentially fall down ever so slightly? No, he's been able to get by. That BMW, of course, very quick in the straight, but of course very clunky through the corners. It's all due to that front engine BMW and the dynamics as well. It's very boxy, as you can see now. Lewis back to the inside line. He'll swoop round the outside of the second part of the chicane, but there's Pure to the inside, and all contact between the pair. A bit more overspeed coming the way of Robert Pure. I think he was expecting potentially a bit more room left from Lewis, or potentially understeered out wide. It seemed he planted the throttle ever so slightly to just keep himself alongside, maybe misjudged the angle. Unfortunately, he sees himself spinning round, and I think he's dropped behind Tom Osborne.
He has. He's now down into P15. I thought there was enough room there. I don't know what your initial thoughts were, but I felt like he'd been given enough room.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that I'm right. We've got a battle going on here, a bit of a three-way. So we've got James West in the background there. We've got Mark Corley, and we've got Alexander Michelin. So and Mark Corley was involved in that incident earlier on at this specific corner, I think, wasn't it? Yes.
Yes, it was. We also had one at the Dunlop curves as well, as we now see him all over the back of Alexander. Is he going to be able to get this move done? Of course, West will want to try and pick up any pieces he possibly can into Indianapolis. As you can see in the bottom right of the screen as well, Barassa nearly ending this one off, just heading into those Porsche curves now. Been a very dominant drive out in front, took the pole position and hasn't even looked back ever since the start of this race. Not really been challenged so far. As we see Cooley, is he going to go for that move, or is he just going to be too far back, just a little bit too far back in that Lexus? But as Barassa makes his way through those Porsche curves, this is how, of course, Adrr will want to start off the evening with a 1-2 in the series, and also just to take that first victory as well in a series they call their own. Of course, it's the first event like this that they have done. And for Adrr, through the final corner, race 1 is going to go Barassa and Adr's way. Actually, no, that is the final lap, and it is across the line to win the race. A brilliant drive there from Barassa, as we also now see Joanna come up in second. Adrr, really strong performance, followed by Alfie Bevan. Then it'll be the 2 GRDC boys of Ramsey and Varkonyi. And you can see in this top left, this squabble still going on quite nicely. I think that's Hendrik de Vries just coming across the line as well, in that beautiful Red Bull Aston Martin. And for Cooley, I just don't think he's going to make his way through. I think he's just going to run out of time unless it's a heroic send to the inside.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to make a heroic send, but he doesn't. He thinks better of it. I think he thinks long term. James West also under pressure behind as well, but he can also try to tack. So yeah, a good P20 there for Cooley, and yeah, fantastic first race. We saw some absolutely cracking battles there, but as you say, the win goes to Lucas. He takes the first win of round 1, and we've got 3 more to go.
Yes, we certainly do, and of course things can change massively over the course from one race to another. And I think the big thing as well is that the first three are all dry conditions, and then the final one at Fuji is going to be an interchangeable race. So that then adds another layer onto that one, of course, the final race. And that could be quite a dramatic finale, especially if we have a battle not only for the driver's standings, but for the team's championship as well. It's going to be what car is the best and who's more confident in those conditions.
Yeah, no, indeed. And like you say, there are drivers that will have their favourite tracks, and there are those who will love the next one, and some of them will absolutely hate it. And that's just the way it goes. I'm personally, I really struggle around Sebring. How about you?
I'm very much. It depends on how I'm feeling. One day I can be very strong, and then the next I'm completely out of the picture. It's a circuit which you need to be on your A game, and if you're just not in that rhythm, or potentially if you're just not feeling how you want to in the car and you're not comfortable, it certainly makes you pay. And it's very much. I feel like it's kind of endurance racing's like Monaco as such, where a small mistake you're punished and potentially in the wall.
Yeah, no, indeed, because there are some sections of the track that do have quite a bit of a runoff, but there are also those moments where there isn't a lot, and it's tight in sections as well. And like I say, it only takes a bump to unsettle the car, as we saw in our final round of FOT Season 2 just last week. Or was it the week before? It might have actually been. No, it was last week. Sorry, excuse me. So yeah, and there were a couple of drivers who had some real pace, but the bumps just became their worst enemy, and that's sometimes all it can take.
Exactly. All it takes is just potentially putting your foot down over a bump, and you see the rear just drop ever so slightly, or if you're just carrying a bit too much speed, you hit a bump, you end up locking up or just overshooting a corner, because of course these cars do have ABS. It's a bit harder to lock up, but you still, of course, see yourself going long because there isn't any contact to the actual surface. So they play a huge factor, especially in cars like these where you need to rely on traction and the ABS, and if you can't get that braking power in, or even being on the throttle, you could see yourself have a moment and drop down quite a few places.
Yeah, no, indeed, and I think that to Steve's point, it's really important just to keep going. I know that sometimes it's hard if you lose a rear spoiler, especially at Le Mans because of the type of track that it is. But unfortunately, we saw 4 DNFs in that race, and we didn't see what happened. So, but it's really important. There are points all the way through the system, and it could mean 1 or 2 points make the difference if you don't continue. So, yeah, it would encourage the drivers just to keep going as much as possible. There is also stewarding taking place, so drivers are able to report any incidents they want investigating for race 1, and that will close in approximately 5 minutes.
Yes, so of course we will get updates to the standings as well, if any positions do get demoted or promoted in that sense. And of course, also, I think you got to look at it as well. If you're retiring from the race and somebody else has an incident and they drop down the field and they're behind you behind you by the time you have your incident, you're then gifting them a free 2, potentially 3 points onto their tally. And if anything, retiring aids the other teams because you're allowing their drivers to creep their way up the order, and that's an extra point that they could be vital come the end of the race, end of the season. Well, this season tonight.
Yeah, indeed, exactly, and don't get me wrong, it is frustrating when things happen, or it could be that you've made your own mistake, right? That's even more frustrating sometimes when that happens, but we want to encourage people just to keep going because there are points on offer all the way through. So it could really make, like I said, a difference to your fellow teammates.
Yeah, it certainly can. And
Server 2 is up, so we'll be moving across to that shortly. We could actually look at qualifying this time because unfortunately we missed it last time. So they're still in the practice session. They got 5 minutes of practice. I'm hoping they've done a little bit more than 5 minutes worth of practice though.
Yeah, you'd be hoping that they've done some practice either today or throughout the week to make sure that they're sharp and ready for this race at Sebring. But of course, unlike the Circuit de la Sarthe here, Paul, they'll have a couple attempts at getting a lap time on the board.
Yeah, but with this many I mean, obviously it is private qualified, but could you imagine if it wasn't with 35 cars out there? That would be quite challenging, and it'll be interesting to see whether Lucas can again continue to be the man of the moment in round two, and whether anybody can challenge him for round here. I've just been advised if there are any penalties through this evening, Adam will let me know, who's our steward reviewing it. But so far, no reports from race one.
Okay, so that's good to see that no reports have come their way. Of course, we saw a few incidents between drivers, but they might have sorted it out between themselves. Just a few apologies, and we move on to race number 2. But yeah, imagine if it was a 35 car qualifying, especially at somewhere like Bahrain Outer, where there isn't much room on the road and it's such a short lap. You'd be coming up to traffic pretty much everywhere if they're slowing down onto their laps. Of course, Bahrain is where these drivers are going to get the most attempts at qualifying. It's a sub-minute lap time, so they'll be right onto it very, very quickly indeed. And as you can see, now on to the circuit. Here we are for the practice just before the quali. And of course, this now gives the drivers an opportunity as well, this 5 minutes of practice, if they get in early enough, to do somewhat of a reconnaissance lap and get a feeling for the circuit once again.
Yeah, slightly different weather conditions as well. Each event has slightly different ones. The one to really know is Fuji, because that's got mixed conditions. But yes, it like you say, different characteristics of the track, different characteristics of the cars. I'm expecting big things from Mr. Osborne. I was a little bit disappointed with the qualifier, but then you could have just invalidated a lap. I saw quite a few that were invalidated laps, and again, around here you can invalidate them quite easily too.
Yeah, you certainly can. Of course, you're constantly on the limit, especially through this final sector, well, the final part of the circuit too. There you can see yourself potentially go wide and then validate, and
had a crash.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we've seen some incidents of our own, so the stewards need to investigate this one. I would say,
this is unusual. I never have any game crashes, so yeah, I don't know what's causing that, but yeah, I'll and it's done it on both PCs as well. Interestingly, yeah. So
a double crash.
A double crash, which is also very, very unusual. But we'll be back with them momentarily. So I will join the session again. But these things are set to try us, aren't they? So.
They certainly are. If anything can go wrong, of course it has to be at the broadcast. So
yes, of course.
Yeah, sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, out of our control. I know Le Mans Ultimate recently has struggled with its stability over the course of people's games. I know Grdc owner Craig Starkey has actually had his own issue with that one, and I know he's got a very beefy PC, so it's just overall game balance. And of course, for these drivers as well, they've got to manage each other's potential connections as well. There could be some drivers, of course, we hope everyone's not laggy, but all it takes is one quick a quick spike of ping just once throughout a race, and you potentially get a little bit nervous trying to overtake somebody.
Yeah, no, indeed. But qualifying has now begun. So let's bring up we're looking at Nathan Healy. So let's get all the overlay information up. That's not a good start.
Oh, and he's lost his spoiler as well. Unfortunate there for Nathan. It's an easy thing to do, though, at turn 1, isn't it, Paul? You're going into that with so much momentum, and you're, of course, turning on a very bumpy surface. And it's exactly what we mean. One bump, especially at the first corner, and the final one as well, you see yourself going round and into the wall.
Yeah, no, indeed, and losing the rear wing, so no, won't be able to continue. But he's got time to get into the pits. He hasn't got a lot of time. He's just got under 3.5 minutes. So, but Lucas setting the pace in sector 1.
Yeah, once again, looking very strong so far in this qualifying session. As we're now heading into this middle sector, you could just see the car undulating.
He's continued on. I don't know what he's doing. He's continued on.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't yet gone back to the pits, but he's continued on, unfortunately. So,
of course, the way that, sorry to cut in there, Paul, but
yeah.
the way this pit lane works as well is that you come out of it and you're instantly onto a lap.
Yeah, so I don't know why he hasn't gone back. Just ejected back to the pits. So very, very unusual.
That is extremely unusual, to be fair. And I mean, unless he's going to try and set his lap time for fun to potentially see what he can do without a rear wing, that's something to look out for, because of course that car will be spinning at every given moment as Barassa now into that final corner. Alistair Ramsey, top of the times, has actually beaten Wood there, and now Rios goes quicker and Barassa spins through the final corner. The bump's just got too much. He just got a little bit too aggressive as well with the momentum heading into the corner. And Lucas Barassa, the man who topped qualifying in Le Mans and also of course, won the race, sees himself go spinning as Varconi moves himself up into second.
Yeah, he does. Well, into third now. Tom Osborne's just taken that P2 slot off him, and Mark Guina, then the championship winner of the hypercars for Fox Season 2, is currently leading the way. So, yeah, unfortunate from... yeah, unfortunate there on that last lap. So can he get his head together and gain a few positions? I'm just trying to find him on the leaderboard. There he is. He's down in 28. Trying to talk and operate the cameras at the same time.
I'll tell you what, Paul.
Explains my issues. Yeah.
I can relieve you. I've just put the standings from race 1 in the broadcaster chat. So
okay. All right,
when you've got that, maybe in between quali and race, maybe, I don't know. You figure that out. But yeah, we've got a fight on our hands.
I have just seen it, and we certainly do indeed. I think we should read it out after qualifying. So we're at the dying embers of this session. Of course, 45 seconds now left on the clock, so these drivers will be able to go once more if they elect to do so. And of course, at the moment, once again, it's an Adrr 1-2, but this time instead it's Barassa, it is Osborne and Joanna at the top of the table. But for Connie, Rios, O'Brien, all within touching distance. Barassa not seeming to be as strong this time around. Of course, with that spin heading down the main straight, would have had to build all these momentum all over again and set a personal best too through the middle part of the lap. As drivers now make their way across the line. Ramsey up into 5th. There you see Bevan up into 3rd. Coley to 2nd place, but no one getting close enough to beat Joanna just yet. Of course, for Konyi, will be heading to the line ever so shortly. And Joanna's gone even quicker, now 6 temps clear of the field. Ben Brown slots into 13th place, and Barassa up into 2nd. We have the same 1-2, but in the opposite order of what we saw at Le Mans.
Yeah, and Tom Osborne and Lucas have both finished their laps. So we've got James Cowley can potentially gain a position. So we'll keep an eye on him. He's currently in P4.
Yeah, Cowley, of course, he didn't really have the strongest. Le Mans, of course, was caught in that incident, I think, with Mark Cooley in that first race, as he's 6 thousandths down on the quickest first sector. So a very strong start to this lap time, but Joanna still 4 temps clear of Tom Osborne. He's had a really strong start to things here, as of course some of these drivers have finished lap times like Osborne and some have not. So they still have this one to go. And for James Coley, now heading up into that middle sector split, where are we going to see his lap time in relation to everybody's else? And he's not improving on this one. Have those tyres just started to let go on him?
Yeah, potentially. He might have been trying to overuse them just a little bit. And I'm ready with the stand-ins between the sessions, so we can reveal those to everybody. I'm sure everybody can't wait for that, but they are to be provisional. But like I say, Adam, who is the steward, has reported there'll be no reports from race 1, so I'm not expecting any changes. But James Cowley, can he get into third with this lap? It's ever so close between third and fourth currently, and fifth with Alfie right behind as well. So but Alfie's back in the pit garage, so he's not able to gain a position. But no, James Cowley unable to go faster. Tyler Hammer has Alistair Ramsey up into P3.
Ramsey.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant lap time there from Alistair in that Mustang. Of course, we said it might not be the strengths of that car, but he certainly has performed quite well. That's Jordan 40, who qualified 17th. So, once again, Ramsey in third place is a very strong qualifier, is Alistair Ramsey. I've seen that in my time at Grdc. But yeah, very strong indeed, and he separated the Adrr boys from being a 1, 2, 3, clean sweep of the top 3. And here are your provisional standings after the first race, and the battle is seeming strong between Adrr and Grdc. 34 points to Adrr, 337 to Grdc. Then Onid on 208, and a Potato Nation on 160. They had a disappointing outing there, did Potato Nation, looking to potentially have better fortunes in this second race.
Yeah, indeed. And also, we need to move on to the starting order, so I'll give that for you now. Hopefully there's no bugs in this one.
Hopefully there is not. So on the front row of the grid, it's Adrr domination once more. It's Mark Jorina and Tom Osborne. Row 2, Alistair Ramsey, second race in a row. Second, third place in a row. Lucas Barassa is in fourth. Then we have James Coley and Alfie Bevan. 2 Lamborghinis lining up on row 3. Alfie trying to back up his third place. And we have Zoltan Varkoni and Sander Jacobs rounding out row 4. Then for row 5, we have Adam Rios in 9th and Nigel O'Brien rounding out that top 10. Lamborghini and the Mercedes. Of course, Rios making that Robert Pure making that mistake as he lines up on row 6 with Dave Wood. Then we see Vladislav and Ben Brown on row 7, 13th and 14th respectively. For Hendrik de Vries, not a strong qualifying from him, and Tom Goers in 16th. The Jordan 40, another GRDC driver that seemed to have struggled, and Fabian on row 9. Row 10 is Tyler Hammer and Martin Lewis. Of course, trying to back up that squabble for 10th place, Lewis, and a disappointing qualifying from himself. Then it's Leon and Tim Seaby, followed by Zach Silva and Jurban Kelly on row 12 of the grid. Then we'll have Lawrence and Dean Power on 25th and 26th on row 13. Row 14 is Manders and Cook. Before row 15 being Alexander Minchlin and also Andy Hearn. Of course, 35 cars, so not long left of this grid to run down before Mark Cooley and James West, 2 disappointing qualifyings there as well. Chris McDivitt and Justin Wilberlov. And finally on row 18, rounding out the field, will be Nathan Healy, of course, who we saw spin on that first lap of qualifying and just didn't come back into pit lane. But heading to the green flag, come on now. We'll see who comes out on top in the second race. It's once again an Adrr 1-2 separated by Alistair Ramsey in third from the next car. And we are green here in Sebring. It's a strong start actually from Barassa, who was able to jump Ramsey before he even got to the line. With that cue, was just able to move a little bit further forward as to the inside goes Alistair Ramsey to try and fight back on that third place. Of course, side by side between the two Adrr boys, they slot back into formation, don't want to take each other out. That'll be disastrous. Number 1 rule in racing, don't hit your teammate. It says, of course, Alfie Bevan and Zoltan Varkoni going into a scrap as well, with also Cooley too, as they all squabble over that 5th place in this race. It's exiting out onto the first of the long straights. It's Zoltan Varkoni just holding in front of Saunders Jacob, who of course we saw these two earlier on in race 1. Jacobs and Varkoni to the inside goes to BMW. What a move that could be if he could pull that one off. That was late braking and brave as not O'Brien starts to spin around in front of the pack and luckily doesn't get collected.
Yeah, and you know, good racing head there. You know, didn't get flustered and didn't you know, ruin anybody else's race in the process. So kudos to him there, because he could have easily just tried to move and you know, cause absolute chaos.
He certainly could have done it, mate. He might not have even held the brakes if he wasn't paying attention, but he did, and he was able to stay away in front and away from the pack to make sure he wasn't collected. And now the recovery drive will be on Dave Wood. We're currently looking at hunting down Dan Brown for that Ben Brown, sorry, for that 10th place. And just behind him, he's got Robert Pure, so these three could get into a very tasty squad. But indeed, and that's Brown a little bit wide as we head onto that back straight. Of course, also the pit straight as well, as we're heading up into that final corner, side by side as well in the foreground. That's Varkonyi with Jacobs. To the outside goes Robert Pure on Wood. Is he going to be able to pull this one off? I don't think so, unless he gets the up and under. Does get the up and under, does Robert Pure, and that's a beautiful move from the BMW driver, and he moves himself up into 11th place. And Varkonyi and Jacobs still going side by side, more door banging, and this is going to be no love lost after that earlier incident in race 1 where Jacobs was sent spinning and Varkonyi wins out as Coley goes wide.
Yeah, Coley goes wide, and these two are battling as Sander Jacobs tries to send it on the inside, but touches the rear quarter and gets a little bit of a nudge behind, and well gathered from Jacobs there. That could have been really catastrophic. I think he was trying to stick his nose in probably where it shouldn't have been, is my initial feeling there.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a half-hearted, desperate move there from Jacobs, just trying to keep himself within it, as we see Vladislav and Leon now squabbling side by side over 13th and 14th place in this race as we head into the chicane. And it is Vladislav who ends up on top. Hendrik de Vries as well in the back row, just over getting past on one of the BMWs too. This is really the Aston Martin trying to make his way through a BMW train. So of course, in front of Vladislav, you then have Wood, Pure, Brown and Jacobs. Of course, Wood being a Mercedes, but Pure, Brown and Jacobs all being in a BMW as we now head in to that chicane. Ferrari nearly off in the background as well. I think that might have been Hammer potentially going off the road. But Hendrik de Vries trying everything he can to make his way further up the order after a disappointing qualifying.
Yeah, Adam Rios, one of the GRDC guys, currently chasing down James Cowley. Adam also races with us at Adrr, so we know him very well. I was a bit worried about it because he didn't stream for about a month, and I was like, is he okay? But maybe he had a bit of a holiday. But here he is, he's back and he's racing, and it's good to see.
It certainly is, as Rios now is all over the back of James Cowley, who of course made that early mistake at turn 1. It's probably the hardest corner on the circuit, along with the final corner. Really, just how much momentum you have to put into that corner, and the car undulating around you. And I think is that Alfie Bevanov fit into the wall at the final corner.
I think it might be. Yeah, he's losing position. So yeah, it is. It's Alfie Bevanov, I'm afraid, and he's being very, very patient. He's waiting for a gap, and he's falling down the order. So he's now right at the back. So after a great first, decent race in race 1, he's unfortunately made a mistake there.
Yeah, really unfortunate there for Bevan. He's dropped down to 32nd in the field as we go on board with Sander Jacobs as he's watching this battle between Coley and Rios. Of course, it was Rios who got that tap from Sander Jacobs when Jacobs had that slight moment. There's Rios potentially looking to the inside line, nothing being done there. But of course, Jacobs will want to make up those positions he lost thanks to that instant hunt back down Zoltan Varkonyi. And the more he's stuck behind these guys, the less he can do that, as Ramsey's now under pressure from Barassa. Round the outside goes the Aston Martin. Just nothing being done there, and I don't think he's going to get enough of a run, I would think, unless a slight switch back between the pair. And Ramsey will be on the inside line, surely going to pick this one off, but Barassa seemed to be very, very racy indeed.
Yeah, he does. He's still side by side. We've got this straight down, and we're going to got the next line. I think he's made the move. Yes, he has.
Oh, so, wow.
The Aston Martin, he just seemed to get the acceleration out. I'm very surprised he made that. I can't imagine Ramsey letting him have that position, but he can now set his focus on the two Adrr guys ahead, and Tom Osborne and Mark ahead. And yeah, they're still first and second, but who knows for how much longer. We've got just over 14 minutes of the race to go.
Yeah, of course. Much more laps going to be made our way in this one. And for Lucas Barassa, he's now made it an Adrr 1, 2, 3. And for GRDC, with Ramsey and Verconyi in 4th and 5th, they'll need them to perform an absolute miracle for the rest of this one, you would think, if they want to keep up this battle. And Barassa nearly into that wall at the final corner. Really had to swing it over to the right-hand side to make sure he didn't hit that wall. And Ramsey's got to try and fly it round the outside. Look at this. If he's able to pull this one off, but no, just backs out of it and allows Barassa to keep the position, but potentially just focusing on corner exit as the Aston Martin dips a little bit wide. And the Mustang is really doing everything he can to keep that pressure on Lucas Barassa. But we know he's made a mistake before at the final corner, which could Ramsey be hoping on just potentially scaring Barassa into another one.
Yes, Lawrence Tesura is he's up into P19, or yeah, I think he made a move up, or he lost position to Gerben Kelly. I spotted that James West also made a move, so he's now up into P23 in the Porker. But looking at the top two, the gap's around about 1 second now. Mark has just got the pace on Tom as things stand, and Lucas is 1.8 back from them. So, and Ramsey, as we can see, is still right on the tail.
Yeah, he certainly is. Ramsey has not been shaken off by Barassa to probably the Aston Martins, I wouldn't say disgust, but misfortune.
Yeah, but look
because
who's behind.
he
You've got Zoltan too, so he's coming into this too, right?
He certainly is. I'm quite shocked by it. Of course, I know Zoltan very well, of course, from GRDC, and he was absolutely dominant when he raced in the Aston Martin, but he switched over to a Lamborghini. He's potentially having some teething issues with it because he was absolutely electric in the GT3 series with a yellow flag somewhere on the road. But we look at that last time around, 1.5 seconds between Ramsey and Verconyi. And he's just really hunting them down. I think he's starting to find that form and rhythm in that Lamborghini. The Verconyi of old potentially could be showing. And we could now see him not only get past his teammate, but also Barassa as well.
Yeah, well, Verconyi's also this trio are leaving James Cowley. Last time around, he was slower than them on the previous lap, and he's 8 seconds back from these. Sorry, no, he's 4 seconds back from these guys. He's 8 seconds off the lead. I need to read the correct column. That really does help. But there are some battles further down the order as well. So we've got Henrik de Vries here, in the Aston Martin, trying to make a move on Leas Vesperis. So as he tries to do the undercut, doesn't really make it work, but he's right on the rear bumper of that BMW.
He certainly is indeed. So can the Aston Martin make his way through at a strong race at the Circuit de la Sarthe? I think he finished in around about 6th spot. And we're now looking to try and break into that top 14. So as we head down into that chicane, that BMW just looking a little bit too handy in a straight line though for him as we go on board with Zoltan Verconyi. His teammate Alistair Ramsey's now putting pressure onto Lucas Barassa. Is he going to be making his way through? No, he is not. I wouldn't be surprised though with the pace. Oh, that was a big moment from Barassa. Lucky to hold on to the car there. But the mistakes are starting to show as he's starting to potentially crack ever so slightly. And are both Ramsey and Verconyi just slowly chipping away at the foundations to make that mistake happen eventually and see themselves both through.
Yeah, I think Zoltan's really applying the pressure now to Alistair Ramsey, and he might try and make the necessary move if he feels comfortable. But Barassa, yeah, really pushing the Aston Martin. And you saw that Alistair had to kind of touch the brakes very, very briefly just not to collect him. Yeah, but out in the lead, Guina then is 1.7 ahead still, which is showing some real pace. And unfortunately for Lucas and Alistair and Zoltan, these guys haven't got the same pace as the leaders at the moment.
No, they certainly haven't at the moment. So we now head up into that, of course, now down that main straight with someone in
That's
the
Martin
pit
Lewis.
There. Yeah, I was going to say, it's that Lewis.
Very battered car there, I think it's fair to say. We do have a
exactly.
DNF. We had
Barassa's gone off.
Oh!
At turn 1. He's made another mistake. That is disastrous for the man that was currently lying in third and making an Adrr 1, 2, 3. And there are some big points going out the window there, Paul.
Yes.
And for Lucas Barassa, I said, were they just chipping at the foundations to try and make that mistake fall? They certainly have got their reward. And Osborne and Fakonyi and Ramsey move themselves up to 3rd and 4th.
Indeed, yeah, that's really done Adrr some harm here. But he's clearly got the pace. Maybe, you know, like we touched on before this round, maybe it's not one of his favourite tracks. I can see that Dave Wood has fallen back for some reason on my screen, and Andy Hearn is moving up. But you can see behind, there's a gaggle of cars here. There's a slow-moving car, I think obviously blue flags, but James West is under pressure from near Commanders. There's a lot going on everywhere at the moment. It's really hard to know where to point the camera sometimes, I must say. But but back to Lucas, can he gain those positions back? That's a big if. He's only got 8 minutes to do it.
That is going to be a big if he can make it all the way back up to at least that 5th place, which Coley is currently occupying.
I think Dave Wood's got a problem. He's got a wonky car, hasn't he? That's what it is. He's definitely going backwards.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does have a little bit of a wonky
Well,
car there.
Richard
It's
Cook,
grabbing
actually.
ever so...
That's
yeah,
Richard Cook, sorry, yeah. But Dave Wood has also been falling back. Yeah, there you
go. Yeah.
No rear wing, that would be it. Yeah, that would definitely do it from Onid, unfortunately. He just needs to take it easy to try and... It's amazing, we were talking about this yesterday. Was it yesterday? Oh, it might have been Thursday. About how much little grip you have when you've got no rear wing.
Yeah,
it makes such a difference.
It does. It's just that you go from having so much aerodynamic load to absolutely none at all, and the rear end of the car just is like, yeah, I'm not having this one bit, and ends up going round on you, and it's just the utter imbalance, because of course you've got a lot planting the front down, and the rear you just got nothing there, and there's no aerodynamic stability coming your way. You've got Alfie Bevan trying to make his way back up through the field. He's done quite well actually here as Alfie. He was down in 32nd. He's now up to 21st, so
good going.
He's made his way up the field quite nicely.
Yeah, he has. I mean, you know, and again, he could have very easily just thrown in the towel, couldn't he? Mark Cooley and Lawrence D'Souza are causing yellow flags by the looks of it. Well, that's Lawrence apparently now. I don't know where it's taking me. Hold on. Oh, he's just DNF. So
DNF'd.
And Mark Cooley's in the pit. So I'm guessing they've had a kind of a bit of an incident. But Alfie Bevan now up into P20.
Yeah, nice move there into the chicane, and he's doing really well to recover at least some valuable positions for Onid, as they, of course, currently occupy that 3rd place in the standings in front of Potato Nation. But for Barassa, he's all over the back of Sander Jacobs. But the thing is, Jacobs is a really difficult opponent to overtake. Same with Adam Rios as well. They're both very aggressive defenders.
They are.
They want to hold on to their position as much as they possibly can. And you can see that by the way Jacobs hasn't been able to get past Rios. And they've somewhat dropped back slightly from Coley as well. So we're going to be in an interesting situation in this race. And does Lucas just focus on bringing it home in 8th and getting those points on the board?
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, I mean, like, you know, Lucas obviously in P8, but he's still going to get a decent haul of points today. But, yeah, I can see that Alfie Bevan is now up into P19. He's just got past Gerben Kelly. Again, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. I'm terrible at pronunciation, so probably showing. Yeah, he's up into P18 now. So going strong, like you say, was down in P32. At one point. We've got 2 DNFs so far for this race, unfortunately, and we've got 1 car, which is Mark Cooley, in the garage. Like I say, I did see that Mark Cooley and Lawrence caused a yellow flag. So but we've got a bit of a battle here for P13, so Leon's under pressure from Hendrick.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's been like that for a little while. It's actually Barassa's been able to make his way through there on actually no, I think Rios has gone round, or something's happened to Rios, because he's dropped down the field, not only behind Barassa but Brown as well. And actually Barassa, there might have been contact between the pair. I think Barassa might have gone for a move potentially onto Jacobs, maybe overshot it slightly and tapped the Mercedes of Adam Rios, and they've both dropped even further down the field now. And for Adrr, this is absolutely disastrous. He's gone from a potential 1-2-3 to then a 1-2-10 at least with these 3 cars. And for Barassa, it's just going from bad to worse. I think he's starting to get a little bit frustrated, a little bit just agitated, and those mistakes are starting to show.
Yeah, I just saw that Justin Wellbeloved had a moment as well. He caused the yellow flag momentarily for Potato Nation. So he's had a moment. But yeah, you're right. Lucas now into P10, which, as you rightly say, is means that less points on the board now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it certainly is, and of course in a tight squabble with GRDC in the standings, of course. Adrr with 344 and GRDC with 337. It is certainly all to play for still, as Barassa currently makes his way down into turn 1. There's not really any more squabbles at the front of that field since that mistake from Barassa. Viconyi's been able to drop Alistair Ramsey by 2 seconds and hasn't really been able to get close enough to Tom Osborne, who he knows all too well. Is actually, look at there, Robert Pure having to defend the inside line from Barassa, but I think he might have just held on to the position. Yes, he has for now. So Pure's going to want to hold on to this position because his teammate Rios is just up the road. But look at the run Barassa can get out in some of these corners here, Paul. He can just get on that throttle so early, and he just is able to carry so much momentum into the next corners.
Yeah, as he has to try and have a look. He's probably going to try the old switcheroo, and he does. He's lining that up. As Adam Rios is just ahead of these two as well, so he's not gone too far up the road. The Aston just seems to have amazing acceleration, or just amazing grip, doesn't it? In certain sections, as Lucas then try to go side by side. The door is kind of left open, so he's able to keep the car there. This is great side by side racing from the two of them. I always say it takes 2 to tango, right, Max? You know, it's very. Yeah. Drivers are very quick to blame each other, but you've also got to leave each other room, and that's how racing works, right? So for a move to happen anywhere on track, it takes 2 participating drivers to play ball.
They certainly do. They've got to cooperate in a sense. They just got to make sure everything is still fair. Of course, you don't want to lose that position, but you've got to still leave that room to do so. And for Barassa, he has now moved himself, of course, trying to move himself past Robert Pure. You can just see how aggressively Pure's defending that inside line now against the Aston Martin. It's such a nimble car through the corners as well. Is that Aston Martin very light, very easy to just chuck around, and you can see the bumps just trying to dislodge ever so slightly Lucas Barassa there from Robert Pure, just forcing him to that bumpier outside line, but still nothing being made. And for Barassa, he's going to have to sit behind once more as we head into turn 1. This is where we saw that first opportunity arise for the Aston Martin, where the BMW's not able to get a good run. He certainly is. It's going to look to the inside line. Pure's not going to defend it. And Barassa to the inside, late on the brakes. And he's going to surely move himself up into 9th. I think they're still ever so slightly side by side, but into this left-hander. The natural understeer favours Lucas Barassa, and he moves himself up into that 9th place. Brilliant racing between the pair. Yeah, great move by Lucas Barassa there. Absolutely fantastic stuff. We saw I don't know if you spotted, there was a McLaren on the side of the track, just off as we were watching those two. I don't know who that is. That might have been Alex Michelin's. I think he's the only one. Yes.
Yes, there you go.
Disaster there for Alex. Off and without the rear wing as well. But as long as he crosses the line, he'll score some points. And for him, nothing else can be said. But we're on that final lap actually, and Joanna with that 3.1 second lead really was able to gap Osborne come the end of this one.
Yeah, 3.1 seconds back, and yeah, Joanna then with a great resounding result for the Adrr community. Another solid win.
Yes, it certainly is. Just like his teammate Lucas in race 1 took that pole position and never looked back, Mark Joanna is going to do the same thing here. And once again, it's going to be Adrr domination at the front of the field. Another 1-2 to their name. And for Joanna, he takes the second race here at Sebring as he crosses the line to take the checkered flag. It was Tom Osborne in second. Zoltan Viconyi picks up his first podium of the evening in third. Then it's Alistair Ramsey in fourth. But for Adrr, once more here, Paul, they take another 1-2. This time it's Joanna from Osborne. But this is exactly how they want to keep going in the evening in an event that they run.
Yes, indeed. But, I mean, you know, these cars, I mean, really, everybody's relatively close. This is like the biggest gap now. So back to Zach Silver's around about 9 seconds. But, you know, it would only have taken a moment for those drivers to go off track, and they would have lost a heap of positions, because these are, you know, in the grand scheme of things, these guys are all similarly paced, and they're short races.
Yeah, they certainly are. So it just, even though you might have poor qualifyings as well, that can really be exaggerated. Yes, it's 20 minutes of action, but still, like we saw from some of these drivers, like Hendrik de Vries down in 14th, he was up in the top 5 at the end of the last race.
Yes.
Here in race 2, he was stuck in that mid pack. He wasn't able to find a way through, and it just shows how, of course, it constantly ebbs and flows this championship, because of course you're going from one track to another oh so quickly. But it's also the fact that if you have a poor evening, as Nathan Healy once again losing that rear spoiler, it's seeming to like that Aston Martin without a rear wing, and it just wants to continue on without it. So I think we might as well design the Aston Martin for Healy without it.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. So I can imagine that Mr. Steve Worrell is busy putting the results together for us. So we'll bring the standards.
Just to give you an update then. So just waiting for the last car to cross the line, and then I just need to be absolutely 100% certain that the server is closed before I pull down the results. So there is a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
So I just need to wait for that to be completely finished. But if this is the last person crossing the line, I will then go ahead and set the server up for the next race.
Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, Max, I think it's fair to say both races so far have been full of just action.
They certainly have. They've been really spectacular indeed, because of course when you've got 35 cars in a field, you're gonna have at least 3 or 4 people around about a similar pace level, and that's when they start to squabble amongst themselves, and that's what makes it such an interesting thing to watch, because it could be one race, that train like we saw with potentially Hendrik de Vries down in the mid pack, and in the next one they're up at the front of the field squabbling away, because of course it ebbs and flows. Drivers have different driving styles, the cars handle differently at each circuit, and people prefer other tracks. So as we head to the Bahrain Outer Circuit next, it could be a completely different story, and we could see someone like a Robert Pure go to the top. Of course, he could be someone to look out for. So it constantly ebbs and flows, and different drivers will be quicker at different tracks, and that's the beauty of a quick 4-race, 20-minute each racing calendar.
Yeah, no, indeed, you're bang on, 100%, and I think we're seeing the fruits of that so far. So, but what I'll do, we'll remind people that next up then is Bahrain Outer. Quite an unusual pick from us, I think, at Adrr.
Yeah, I was quite surprised with that pick, to be fair. Of course, it's the only alternate layout on this 4-race calendar. And, I mean, it's an interesting circuit to drive, really, because even though it's very short and it's mainly straight lines, it's still quite technical, especially at the top of that hill. It's very easy to make some mistakes, and you never know, that could happen. And in qualifying as well, very easy to invalidate, because all it takes is going over that first apex curb at the chicane at the top of the hill ever so slightly, and you see yourself picking an invalidation up. So very much threading the needle up there.
Yeah, no, indeed. And I think you're right. It is still relatively quite technical. And also, if you're used to driving the other track layout, if you haven't practiced, you'll very easily go the wrong way.
Oh yeah, 100%. Of course, I think these drivers will make sure they do know the layout, but it can also just be a habit case as well. You could practice all week, and then all of a sudden you're still going to the regular circuit just out of habit, because Bahrain Outer there isn't really a circuit used too often, and of course it's also a part of the endurance layout as well. Of course, you go up to the top and then back to the original circuit that we all know and love. So yeah, it's an unusual pick, but I like that pick because I think it's a circuit where not many people are really in the rhythm of it. Not many people race that circuit, so it could throw up some spicy results.
Yeah, I think it could, and like you say, we saw drivers in round one who got some great points for their community, but in round two didn't quite go to plan. But fortunately for Adrr, even though Barca had not such a great race in race two, Mark and Tom were able to take that mantle from him and get a 1-2 for the community. So. There is a 10-minute break between round 2 and round 3. I wasn't aware of that, but
No, there
there
isn't.
is.
No, there isn't.
Is there not? What,
Nope.
is there not a pause? Okay,
There is not. The round 3 server is up.
right. Okay.
There'll be a gap between rounds 3 and 4. A short gap between 3 and 4.
Okay, all right. Is that because you forgot about the gap, Steve?
No, wouldn't do that. Admin of the year. Come on.
Admin of the year.
That's what they all say.
Fantastic stuff. Right. Fantastic. Right. But what I am going to do is I'm going to quickly play a couple minutes video just to give myself and Max a little bit of a break, so we can just go and get refreshed, which I think is probably a good idea if either of us need the loo or want to go and get some water. And so we will be with you in a couple of minutes.
I'm back.
Right, we're back. There we go. Max, ready for round 3?
Yes, very ready for round 3. Very excited to see what the Bahrain Out International Circuit outer layouts has to offer for us this evening. And yeah, it should be very interesting indeed. And even though it's very much all about straight line speed, plenty of overtaking opportunities into that final corner and also into turn 1 as well.
Yeah, you got 3 long straights here. Obviously, the back straight is the longest of them all, as you say, into the final corner. But because the outer layout, takes some of those corners out, it should allow for the faster cars in the straight line to really have the advantage here.
It certainly does. So someone like Alistair Ramsey in that Mustang, which we saw at Le Mans, where it was just imperiously quick down the straights, and then through the corners, of course, we saw at Sebring, he was still on the pace, but it wasn't too particularly strong compared to what we saw him do in the past. It certainly could play into his hands. Of course, the Aston Martin, the big all-rounder, that's the one where I think you're guaranteed to be quick down the straights and through the corners. It's a good all-round car, especially since that updated tyre patch. But even like a BMW could pose a threat as well. That the likes of Tom Osborne or Robert Pure, they could even see themselves up the standings. So it's all down to straight line speed. And we've started off with Nathan Healy in his natural habitat so far this evening, and that is the wall.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He was the car that was selected as we joined the server. So that's practiced, done and dusted, and we'll can have a little look around to the crowd. There's a decent crowd here today, here to support us. Great to see.
How much have you got off tickets from each race here, Steve?
Is he listed? I don't. Yeah, he might have scootled off somewhere. But
no, I'm here.
Oh, no, he's here.
What was that?
Okay.
Was stewarding tickets? Was it?
Oh no, we were talking about the crowd in the stands. How much have you earned? How much have you earned from each race?
Actually, look, by the looks of those people in the crowd, I've earned quite a lot tonight. But unfortunately, it's all virtual dollars. But we are joined by a community owner from Onid, Johnny Ash. Hello, Johnny.
Good evening, folks.
How you doing, mate?
I'm alright, mate. You?
Yeah, good. How's it gone for you guys so far?
Not great.
I thought you got some good points in the last round, no?
We did. We got some good points. The first round wasn't so good, but no, I think there could be a comeback of all comebacks. You never know. Stranger things have happened, you know, especially after my beloved Man United beat Chelsea today.
Oh,
Did
yeah,
what?
he had to bring that up. He's got very quiet all of a sudden, Steve. So, right, qualifying has begun. I've seen that Zach Silver's got a penalty. So I'm guessing crossed the line before the before the light went green.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
So what's your outlook for the rest of the championship then, Johnny? What are you thinking?
Just get as many guys in the top 10. I don't think we've got James and Alfie that have got some good out and out pace, but I think if we can get as many in the top 10 for the next couple of rounds, I think we can make a fight for second. I don't think we can win it, but I'd like to think we can give the Grdc boys a good run for their money. Considering, well, that's if they're still running second.
Stuff. Well, look, I'm absolutely delighted that you guys made it here, because it was touch and go at one point whether you were going to make it. So I'm really grateful that you did. And I think so far, I mean, I've been watching this and panicking and stressing and all sorts. But I've been watching along, and I love the format. I'm absolutely loving it. I don't know about you, but if we do this again, I hope you guys come back. But so far, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it wasn't. We were always going to be here. It was the fact that I am so unorganised at the minute. I hadn't actually sorted a team out. So, yeah, no, we were always going to come. We were going to support you guys. We think it's a great idea. We do something similar within our team, where we kind of have a kind of inter-team battle once a year, and very similar to this as well. So, yeah, it's great, and it's good to see so many people getting involved. And you never know, we might be able to actually increase some community input as well, and have maybe 6 communities next time around. That'd be really good.
I'd love it. I'd love it if this could become a thing. If this could become like a proper community like championship, it would be really cool. But for the first one, there's been a few hiccups, but I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to crack on and do the drivers championship standings and stuff. So I'll leave you to it. I'll be back very shortly.
You've got 2.5 minutes to give us those scores. No pressure.
Yes.
No pressure, Steve.
No pressure to you, Steve, as we've just seen Alfie come across the line. Coley 300s clear of Viconyi. It's super close at the front of the field. Of course, not many corners around a circuit like this, so times are going to be very close indeed. And look at that, 4 cars under a tenth of a second.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? As James Cowley then leading the way at the moment with a 1:13.837, and as you say, short circuit, which means we see this, don't we, in Formula One at Austria, because it's a short circuit. You tend to see closer gaps in qualifying.
Yeah, you certainly do indeed. And look at that top 5. 1/10 of a second separating all these drivers. Zoltan Vakonya, I think he might have just invalidated this
I
lap
think he did.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Not seeing any graphics come up. So I think he's had an invalidation. James Coley, of course, who leads the way so far in this qualifying session. For Onid, doing quite nicely as Tom Osborne now heads into that final corner. 2 tenths clear in the first sector. Only dropped about half a tenth in the middle. So is he going to see himself now shoot up to the top of the times? Barassa now to the top, half a second clear. Jawinner to second. Here comes Osborne. He slots in third fastest. So we said about close times, and Barassa's absolutely blown that out the water.
Yeah, he really has. He's gone, hey, just hold my beer. And he's, incredible. Jabin Kelly has just got up 12 positions up into P21. So we've got a few cars about times on the board. So let's go and keep an eye on Andy Hearn. He hasn't set a lap yet that I can see. He's coming down in P31. He's in the BMW. There's a lot of BMWs this round. Because drivers have been, I think, able to change their cars if they so wish. I should know the rules, but I don't. He goes up into P28. And I can see Goenna has gone purple in Sector 2, according to my screen, but the overlay is not showing it. So he's done a 15.2 in the middle sector. And the difference between him and Lucas in Sector 1 is minimal. It's minimal. James Cowley then up into P3. Oh God, my leaderboard's lighted up like a Christmas tree because everyone's setting times. It doesn't quite know what to do with itself. But Lucas then still leading the way. So you've got Jordan Forte is currently in P3. He's finished now. James Cowley's also finished, and so is Tom Osborne. So they can't go any faster. But Alfie Bevan, Zoltan can, and so can this man here, Mark.
Yeah, let's see what Mark Jawinner can do. Of course, he's only 1,000th clear of Jordan 40, so he's very lucky to hold on to that front row of the grid. And are we actually going to see Barassa and Jawinner, just like we saw in the first race, take that 1-2 and make it a free 1-2s on the bounce from the Adrr boys when it comes to qualifying, as we now head down into the final corner of the circuit. It's apparently purple in the first sector, so late on the brakes he goes. Can he displace Barassa and finally pick up a second pole position, be our first repeat pole sitter, or will it be Lucas who is our first repeat pole sitter of the evening? Up to the line he goes. Is it good enough to see him to the top there, Paul?
No,
or did he just fall short?
But Zoltan has gone P1.
Oh, damn.
Yes.
Zoltan Vakonya.
Yeah.
Where has that lap time come from?
I don't know, but it's there. He's, unbelievable. I haven't been sent the current standing orders yet, so we'll crack on with the starting order for the next race.
Yes, Zoltan Vakonya taking a shock pole position here for GRDC ahead of Barassa. Then it's Mark Jawinner in third, followed by Alfie Bevan in fourth on row 2, followed by Jordan 40 and James Coley in fifth and sixth. They're on row 3. Then we have Robert Pure and Tom Osborne, 2 GRDC boys on row 4. No, not GRDC boys. Osborne is for Adrr, of course. I'm used to him being in the GRDC. Then it's Alistair Ramsey for GRDC, followed by Sander Jacobs in 10th. Then Ben Brown and Vladislav for the row 6. Much better qualifying from the pair of them. Nigel O'Brien and Martin Lewis still on a little bit of poor form so far as Lewis over the past 2 qualifyings. And then row 8 is Tom Goes and Leon Fisberas. Then row 9 we have Tyler Hammer and Tim Seeby. Of course, these cars aren't actually respective to the ones they are driving. A little issue on the grid finder. There's Fabian and Adam Rios. A disappointing qualifying there from Adam. That's very low down the field.
Yeah.
Dave Wood and Gurban Kelly in row 11. Followed by Hendrik de Vries. Another poor qualifying from de Vries, and then Cook in 24th. There, row 12. Then it's Lawrence and Niek Manders on row 13. Dean Power and Zach Silver, of course, who had that penalty on row 14. Mark Cooley and Justin Wellbeloved on 29 and 30, on row 15, followed by Andy Hearn and Alexander Michelin on row 16 and 31st and 32nd. And on the penultimate row of the grid, it is Chris McDevitt and James West. And then finally, rounding out your order is Nathan Healy. Once again, which we cut to in practice in the wall. And we've got our standings after the last round. And it is still super close between Adrr and GRDC. 693 to Adrr, GRDC with 619. There's Onid with 490, and then Potato Nation with 283. And you can see there, both GRDC and Onid, Paul, got the exact same score from the last round.
Yeah, unbelievable, isn't it? So, but they've got quite a gap at the moment. So, Onid have got some work to do if they want to get that that P2 off GRDC. But this is race number 3 of 4.
It just shows you how important the mid-pack points are.
Yes, it does.
The DNFs and stuff, they will hurt, even if it's just a few points at the bottom. But like, sticking with it, keep going, because those mid-pack points, there's good points on offer, but all to fight for at the top there.
Certainly is indeed. It's always worth keeping on going, because you never know, for someone like GRDC in their fight with Adrr, it could all come down to those drivers that unfortunately retired. As Zoltan Varkonyi, the first non-Adrr pole sitter of the evening, they've been dominating the first 2 races, but here Varkonyi stakes his claim for that pole position and will lead us to that green flag. We are about to get underway here at the Bahrain International Circuit, and we are green flag racing now. It seems to be a good start from Lucas Barassa, is now side by side down that main straight into the first corner. We're on board with one of the BMWs heading into that first corner as well. For Coney will be on the inside, surely going to be able to hold on to this, or is he? Is a switchback attempt there from Barassa, loving those good old switcheroos at the moment. It's the Aston Martin drivers seem to be all clean further back cars all over the road, but still keeping themselves in a straight line. But for Coney, able to hold on as we head up into turn 4, side by side a little bit further back between Jarina and Bevan. Of course, Cowley will want to get involved in this one, with Osborne falling down behind Jordan 40, but Varkonyi keeping that race lead, but Barassa following closely in tow.
Indeed, we got a driver with a penalty for the formation. That's Alexander Michelin, or Milchin. He's unfortunately going to have to serve a penalty. I'd imagine that will be a drive-through for something to happen on the brief formation lap. But Zoltan then keeping the lead nicely, but he's under pressure from Lucas Barsa, that's for sure. But this track will probably suit that Lambo, won't it?
I think it certainly will. Very quick in a straight line, but look at that slipstream. Just look how much it will aid you heading down those straights. And look at Lucas now pulling to the inside line. Is he going to take that race lead away from Zoltan Varkonyi? Of course, 20 minutes of racing action, so a long old way to go. And the Lamborghini could certainly fight back as he tries to keep it round the outside. And a big snap from the Lamborghini of Zoltan Varkonyi. Very lucky to avoid the Aston Martin in his path, and that's not going to put him under all sorts of pressure from Bevan, who was able to find his way past Joanna.
Yeah, Joanna now down into P. I think Tom Osborne's also just losing out, so he's having a battle at the moment with Jordan 40. So Tom very, very briefly lost that position. So yeah, some of the adult guys are going a little bit backwards as things stand. So. I can see that Rios is making moves though. He's now up into P19, and there's a gaggle of cars here. It's absolutely remarkable. We've got the likes of Martin Lewis in P16. There's nothing splitting a lot of these guys, and we've got Tim and Gerben side by side behind as well. But Gerben from Potato Nation decides not to make a move there, and that's probably a wise decision, but he's in the slipstream now. Can he make a move into turn 1?
Let's all now wait and see as we now look into the inside line with Gerben Kelly. Is he going to get that move done on Lewis, and potentially also now looking to the inside line, but no, just can't get by on the Ferrari as it currently stands.
Tim Seaby. Sorry, that's on me.
No, it's all right. Tim Seaby getting that move, because of course Martin Lewis is the one just a little bit further up from Kelly. The two Ferraris following in tow there. It's to the inside. Oh, that's going to be very close indeed on the apex, but luckily both cars just getting the space they did warrant, and no contact was made. But look at Kelly, really racy all over the pack of CB, and I wouldn't be surprised by the time we get down to that final corner, he makes a lunge to the inside again.
Yeah, I think that BMW's got really good straight line speed, and he's very well tucked up behind him, isn't he, at the moment? So yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he has another look, and he's trying for it now. Is he later on the brakes? He just hasn't. Yes, he's not really been given the room there, is he? Well, you can kind of understand it, because that corner is a funny one, isn't it? That final corner here.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's the way it's a corner, and then it leads into 15 as well. So you're constantly just turning to the right. Even though you think you got past the main corner, there's still that little kink afterwards. You see Martin Lewis just potentially going for the move, just not close enough. A yellow flag somewhere on the road. But Barras has been able to make his way away from Zoltan Varkoni, and that's now allowed Varkoni to be put under all sorts of pressure from Alfie Bevan behind. They've been able to drop Coley, but for Bevan, of course, for Onid,
something's happened to
a
Gwynna.
really good result. I was able to go in. He's dropped down the order. Where has he fallen down to? He's down to 18th place.
Keeps moving, yeah.
He's down to 18th. Yeah, 18th, just behind there on Kelly. That's a big moment there for Adrr. Gwynna was running in, I think, 5th place, and has now seen himself drop down to 18th, and that's promoted Osborne to 5th. So a big moment there, and I think that might have been at turn 4, and that's an awkward place to try spin your car back round at.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, unfortunately, Nathan Healy's also had a moment. Yeah, he's off the track, but he's getting back on it now. But yeah, unfortunately for Mark Gwynna, then he's lost a number of places. Like you say, promoted his compatriot Tom Osborne. So he gains from his mistake, but he's got Jordan right behind Tom, so he's got to keep his wits about him.
Yeah, he certainly does. 40, a much better display here this evening, here in this race this evening than he has in the others. He's just struggled ever so slightly, but really is what he's capable of. As you can see, this squabble of cars heading down into turn 4. Martin Lewis leading this pack from Tim Seaby, and then it's Gerber and Kelly as well, looking to try and get that move done on Seaby, but just could not make that move, or can he now as we head through the right-hander. It's going to be on to the outside for the first part of the chicane. You can see the Lamborghini as well trying to make his way through. Of course, Jawinna's in this as well. It's Nigel O'Brien trying to make his way through on Kelly, and that's actually relieved that pressure from CB. So we could now see not only O'Brien go for the move, but Jawinna as well. He's actually tucked to the inside of the Lamborghini. Adam Rios has a beautiful view of all of this. He'll be having that popcorn out. Jawinna deep onto the brakes, some contact potentially. Oh, a big snap of oversteer as well as he got onto the runoff there. And you can now see everybody follow through, and it just shows how costly a poor exit is.
Yeah, and Adam Rios right on the bumper now, trying to make the move past O'Brien, and he has a look, and there's going to be contact there. I'm really surprised that any of them didn't go round, but that's allowed Gwynna back past. Yeah, it has. Yeah, so but Adam Rios isn't going to give that up. I know what he's like. Like you said, he's a pretty aggressive racer, so he won't want to be giving that position up. Oh.
He certainly will not. Was all cutting straight across the front nose there of Jawinna was Nigel O'Brien. As you can see, Rios now potentially going to the outside. They've got Hendrik de Vries in the background. Of course, for GRDC in their battle with Adrr, this is oh so crucial to get these moves done. And especially for de Vries and Rios, who are capable of so much more. We've seen so far this evening, of course, Rios, a good race last time out in Sebring, and also in the Circuit de la Sarthe. He's been in the top 10 for both races. And for Hendrik de Vries, he, of course, had a good finish at Le Mans, and he's actually going to go round the outside of his team. What a beautiful move that would be if he was able to pull that one off. There's so much later on the brakes, and once again, Jawinna goes wide, and this might open the door for the Mercedes again.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Great bit of racing. Steve Worrell is loving this. He's like, you know, is this going to work? Is this going to work from, you know, getting 4 communities together? And I think so far we've had 3 races proving, yes, it bloody works, Steve, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I think you'd have to agree, Max. We've been seeing some great racing tonight.
We certainly have, and just the inter-team squabbles we've seen as well, even though they're racing for their team, they're also squabbling amongst themselves, and it's beautiful to see that as well. But they all seem to give each other racing respect. They're all very tolerable of one another, and they do put on quite a show. As you can see, this gaggle of cars behind, I think this is behind Jacobs, currently for that 7th place on board of Ben Brown currently, as Robert Pure's trying to get his way through. As this squabble has really dropped off the back of Jordan 40 as Nigel O'Brien has been overtaken by Joanna, and I think we're now going to see that Aston Martin climb his way slowly up the field.
We'll see. The Lambo's in his slipstream here, so and Rios is also under pressure from behind.
He certainly is. De Vries might get the move done. O'Brien might get the move done. It's that final corner. It seems that Joanna is just having a little bit of an issue with it. Just has a small moment every time, and it just halts his momentum to the outside, and inside goes Hendrik De Vries. To the outside was Nigel O'Brien, and De Vries gets past his teammate of Rios. As we now head up the hill into turn 4, is O'Brien finally going to get that move back done on Joanna, or is he just going to fall short?
Yeah, you can see there was a move in the background. Andy Hurd got past Mark Corley, I think, and they've got James West just ahead. It was kind of in the background of the right-hand shot that we had. So yeah, so fantastic racing. Zoltan is closing the gap to Lucas very, very slowly. He's just over half a second at the moment, so that's worth keeping an eye on for the moment. I don't know if they're gonna lap anybody or anything at the moment, but yeah, we've Alexander, who's the we've already got some cars lapped actually, all the way down to P30. So Chris McDevitt is the final car to be lapped. So yeah, interesting stuff. This is absolutely fantastic. Like I say, I'm finding it hard to keep on top of everything. I just want to give a shout out to Ben Brown, because I think this is probably his best race so far. Rounds 1 and 2 weren't exactly great, but he's up there now in P9 for the Onid crew. So yeah, give him a bit of a shout out.
Yeah, this has been quite a good performance so far from him. He's actually got Alistair Ramsey looking to the inside into turn 4, so moving up to BA. Oh, Ramsey nearly into his teammate of Robert Pure, and that's allowed Ben Brown back through. Brilliant avoiding action, to be fair, as well, from Ramsey to make sure no dire circumstances were coming out of that one, and potentially for GRDC, their hopes of a championship victory going up in smoke. And there's a yellow flag somewhere on the circuit as well. But
Nathan
for Sultan
Healy.
Fakonyi, Nathan Healy once again making a mistake. But talking about Sultan Fakonyi, it could be about tyre management as well, because of course, even though it's 20 minutes, those tyres do take a hit. Of course, they start to lose some wear. And if you just manage them in the first phase of the race, about the first opening 10 minutes, that second 10 minutes, you can have a proper charge, as that's someone going wide. I think that was Martin Lewis going wide, allowing Gerben Kelly and also CB through as he moves himself up into 15th. Does Kelly, and Lewis drops to 16th, so it was him, and that's now the winner potentially all over the back of him as we head down that main straight. De Vries now looking for a move on Nigel O'Brien. If he's able to force O'Brien wide, this might allow, of course, Adam Rios to follow him through as they try now get a good run against the Lamborghini. No move being made from Gerben Kelly, and is De Vries going to be able to get past O'Brien up the hill?
Yeah, is he? This is, I mean, we've got great battles going on everywhere, and yeah, Henrik then having another little look on the inside. If that's not a track cut, I'll be very, very surprised. But if you're not being given much room, you know, like it's hard to make a move. So maybe willing to take a bit of a track cut if you've got some going spare, just to try and get that move done. But he wasn't able to, so it stays behind once more.
But look at him, he's all in that. He's in the wheel tracks. He's in that slipstream. As you can see, O'Brien moving out very late to make sure De Vries has no other option than the outside line. But he's going to get a poor run out of this, and this might allow Adam Rios to get the run. You can see he's going wider to give himself the exit, but De Vries went wide. Oh, there's contact between the two GRDC drivers. Rios with the run, Hendrik De Vries going slow, and the Mercedes hits the rear of the Aston Martin, and that is surely going to be substantial damage for the pair of them and for De Vries. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that rear end kick out a little bit more through these corners.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, that, isn't it? Just one of those things. Fortunately, not too bad damage, but we've still got this battle here for P15 as well.
Yes, we certainly do as well. Over, of course, well, this is going to be over 14th place actually with CB and Gerben Kelly. Martin Lewis has fallen down behind Joanna. So it is going to be, of course, Joanna trying to hunt these two down as well.
Something's happened to Jordan by the looks of it. Yeah, he's had a...
Oh, yeah, he's dropped here. He's right there. He's just dropped down the field. And no, that's disaster for Jordan 40. He was having the best race of the evening. Running in 6th place he was.
Yeah.
I think he potentially might have got maybe a slowdown. And it's dropped into the back of the train.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's continuing to go, so I don't think he's got any damage to report. But we're looking at Alistair Ramsey now, who's got Ladislav behind him, and Tom goes too.
Mr. Ramsey, of course, been squabbling with Ben Brown for the majority of this race. And, of course, tried making that move and nearly went into his teammate Robert Pure. These guys have dropped about a second away from Robert. So they're going to now... Ramsey going to try look for a move. He dummies to the inside, looks to the outside. Of course, this will give him the inside as they enter onto the outer layout. But no move being made once more. Ramsey just not getting enough of a run on that outside line to pull that move off. But if he can force Brown into a mistake, potentially into the chicane, he certainly could see himself now get by down straight into the final corner. But it just seems that BMW being a little bit lighter and having a bit more power to it just seems to be able to accelerate out of that corner slightly better due to that bulky Mustang not really having the best acceleration.
Yeah, it's quite surprising how the different characteristics of the cars kind of come to play. But we're on board with him now. Let's see if he can get into the slipstream. He looks quite a bit back at the moment, doesn't he? He didn't get a good exit there on the final corner. But Ben feels the need to go defensive.
He did, and he's at... Oh, Ramsey, look at that, late on the brakes around the outside. Can he pull this one off? Or is he just going to have to wait for the exit? Of course, he's got Yanislav behind him as well, so he's got to make sure he keeps in front of the BMW while this is going on. But Ramsey just not getting the run again. It's just... It seems that Ramsey... He's able to get the move on the braking into turn 1. But I think instead of the outside, he's going to have to start looking for that inside into the first corner, or there's no real move going to be made. And he's now under all sorts of pressure from Yanislav behind.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Sometimes you are the attackee and then you become the defendee very, very quickly. And but Ben Brown, I was about to say before the gap car over, he was looking like the cork in the bottle somewhat. A bit like we were seeing with Sander Jacobs earlier on, but the gaps have all opened up. But I have noticed that James Cowley is catching Alfie Beverly P3. He's gone for a move there. He's gone too deep. Yeah, that's Vladislav. That was a bold move to make, but he's now going to lose positions, unfortunately. And he's got Jordan right behind him. Or
yeah,
side
Jordan's
by
on the
side.
side.
Yeah. Or
yeah,
past.
They made
Past.
that move.
Yeah. Just shows you, doesn't it, how quickly it can turn around for you.
It certainly can. As Alistair Ramsey once again looking to that outside line on Ben Brown. He's going to have a little bit of space now between himself and Goes as we now head up the hill into turn 4. 3 minutes and 20 left on the clock. So if you want to make your moves, you've got to make them now, don't you, Paul? Of course, this race has gone quite quickly, to be fair. As you can see, James Cooley all over the back of Alfie Bevan. And if these two get into a scrap, it might allow Tom Osborne to slowly sneak his way up in the order and up to that potential 4th place position. But for James Cooley, he's just staying behind on Bevan. Of course, these two both racing for Onid. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just going to give each other some breathing space and not race each other too aggressively. Yeah,
well, they need the points so they try and catch up with GRDC. I don't know if it's mathematically possible, but the DNFs that we've had so far, Nathan Healy and Justin will be loved. So 2 drivers are out of this race, but let's go back to this here. This is quite a gaggle of cars.
It certainly is. It's all building up right behind Ben Brown. Is this gaggle of cars. Alistair Ramsey, of course, the first in that train. He's tried some moves, just not got close enough. Is this finally his attempt? He's not gone to the outside this time. He's just trying to get that run out of turn 1. Excuse me, it all boils down here, Paul, to that acceleration from the Mercedes. It is just oh so quick out of the corners that the Mustang, even though it's so quick down the straights, that by the time it gets up to that top speed, and to get close enough to it, it just isn't enough. And unfortunately, for Alistair Ramsey's just stuck looking at the back of the Mercedes.
Yeah, he's run out of room, isn't he? And also, it's kind of like it takes a few laps to kind of work out your plan. So I noticed a couple of times it would appear that Alistair's able to get on the power really well, like especially into T1 and T2 and that, but he's then having to back off because he's going to hit the back of Ben's car. But if he just kind of holds back a little bit, and he might actually be better off just kind of like sort of slowing down in certain parts, just where he's quicker and Ben's, you know, potentially slower than him. But it looks like he's going to make a move on the inside this time. Has he got enough overdrive? He's side by side down into T1. He's always later on the brakes here as well, so that's going to be a good stead. But Ben Brown this time on the outside looks to he brakes a little bit later, but he's got to be conscious that he's not going to get attacked from behind. And that's a lovely move by Alistair Ramsey.
It certainly is indeed. See that Ben Brown wasn't able to get the run that he needed out of that final corner.
Ben Brown's got a penalty, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah, he's got a penalty. I don't
maybe
know what
went wide.
penalty. Yeah, maybe he did.
Maybe it went wide there. That's what gave him the poor run out of that final corner. Went wide, and of course, you go a little bit slower. You're not able to get that purchase from those rear tyres to keep that car really accelerating as hard as you can, so you lose a bit of time. And yeah, he's gonna drop down quite a way. And for team, I think he's driving for Onid.
Yeah.
And it's gonna drop him what I would say down to potentially to 13th place. Potentially, depending on how severe it is, as 40 looks to the inside of Goers, not able to get that move done, and we'll have one lap to go come the end of this one.
Yeah, so there he goes. He's going to break through now, and we'll keep an eye on Ben to see where that brings him out. I imagine that's probably a drive-through rather than anything else, but he's in the pit lane now. So let's look at the race leader. We'll keep an eye on Ben. Sorry, that's not Ben.
Yes, and actually, look how close Sultan Fakoni's got to Lucas. This could be
Yes.
a real big Titanic scrap over the course of this last lap. Is Sultan going to look for it potentially into that final corner? If he sets it up well through this chicane, he certainly could go for that lunge as Ben Brown comes out onto the road. Down in 24th, so a lot worse than what we imagined. But for Sultan Fakoni, I think he's just going to fall a little bit too short unless Lucas makes a costly error as we head into that final corner. We are going to have a back-to-back winner here for the first time this evening here at round 3. He dominated at the Circuit de la Sarthe. It's been a bit more of a challenge here at the Bahrain Outer Layouts, but Lucas Barrasso wins the second round of the evening, followed by Zoltan Fakoni. Alfie Bevan makes his first trip to the podium, and it's James Coley who finishes off in 4th, only just in front of Tom Osborne. But wow, what a race that was, and that was separated at the front of the field by mere tenths of a second.
Yeah, unbelievable. Great stuff to see. Fantastic bit of racing. Again, all throughout the field. We only had 2 DNFs that race, which says a lot. And Lawrence, who DNF'd the last race, has come across the line in P21. Great name in Dean Power. For just clock that one. We've not really shown him much, but yeah, I'm genuinely really upset. Not upset, but I was like, really wanted Ben Brown to score some proper points for Onid, and unfortunately that wasn't to be. So got a penalty. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see how the standings look after this. And then we're watching Fabian come across the line in P31 for Adrr. So he's the final driver to finish.
Yes, so another round is now over and done with, and we're about to head. Of course, we're going to head into the final race ever so shortly. I think we're going to have a little break in between. Of course, we head over to Japan. We head to the Fuji circuit. And of course, picked by Potato Nation. And we're going to have a little bit of rain as well, Paul. So to spice things up even more.
Yeah, we did. We were kind of talking about it, and I was like, let's have a round with a little bit of something extra. It shouldn't require wet tyres, is my understanding, but we'll just throw a bit of an obstacle at the drivers. We didn't want to do it for the first race, just in case people were like, "Oh, this is rubbish. We're not doing the other rounds." But we wanted something a little bit different. Can't all be dry. But yeah, should be good. Fuji's not a track that I've done many laps around, but I do quite enjoy it. How about yourself?
I enjoy everything but that final sector. To be fair,
It's quite tricky.
It is a very tricky final sector, and it just doesn't really. It doesn't suit me well. It's not to my driving style. So yeah, it's a very tricky final sector, and I think it's a tricky track in general as well, especially that with the first part of the lap as well. You head through turns 1 and 2. Of course, they're quite simple, and then you have that really long right-hander of turn 4, and that just feels like an eternity to get through, and then you're instantly into turn 5 when you exit that. So you're constantly hit by corners in that first sector, and then that, of course, you have that long straight until the quick right-hander, and then you're into that final sector. And that final sector, it may be quite difficult, but it's also really good for racing. I've seen plenty of great battle making their way through the likes of turns 9 and 10.
Yeah, no, I think because it's one of those tracks where there's different lines that you can take in certain parts. So I think that allows for opportunities. And again, I don't know. It might be one of those tracks that a lot of people are not comfortable with. You just don't know, do you?
No, you don't. As I say, different driving styles equals different overall, different strengths around different tracks. So if they prefer longer corners, that final sector at Fuji is exactly what they want. It is absolutely perfect for them. It's a circuit that suits them nicely. But if they like quick flowing darts left and right, just quickly flicking that wheel between each corner, you really will struggle, especially through that final part of a lap around a circuit like this. And it's all about finding the line that suits you the best as well, because if you can't find that, it won't really give you that strength either to gain confidence to go forward. So yeah, it's all about how these drivers feel and how they prefer the circuit and how their driving style then matches the circuit, if it does or not.
So here's something to talk about whilst we've been given the standings. Steve, do you want to enlighten us?
Yeah, there you go. So look, I was just about to alert you to some other talking points. So this is the current drivers' standings after round 2. So this obviously doesn't include round 3. But there is a drivers' championship in the background. There is also a class standing. So each of the communities are in their own little mini championship as well. But the smart thing to do is race for your community and try and get as many points for your community in the total overall standings. But just so you can see, these are the overall standings for the drivers as well.
Yeah, interesting. And with their Mark didn't have a great race at round 3, Steve. So
what happened?
Well, we don't really know. He had a couple of moments. So yeah, I think he finished P14 overall in that last race.
Yes, it was. I think he was just behind
Tim Seaby.
Yeah, Tim Seaby. I thought.
So Lucas Barca won that one, and Zoltan was P2. Alfie was P3. Ben Brown was having. I'm glad you've been watching though, Steve. Ben Brown was having a really good race. He was up into P8, but he lost the position. When he lost the position, he also got a drive-through as well. So he fell down to P24. That's how much that drive-through hurt.
Oh, ouch. I've also in the broadcast chat, I've added the class standings. I don't know if you've managed to pick those up, but
no, I haven't yet, but I'm grabbing them now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going down with the other drivers as well.
Okie dokie.
Oh, sorry, the inter-community standings.
Bear with me, everybody. Here we go.
There we go. Look at that magic.
Woohoo! Yeah. So Mark Gowena then leading the way as we would expect for Adrr. Then Lucas Barca in P2 and Tom Osborne rounding out the top 3 for Adrr. In GRDC we've got Alistair Ramsey. We've seen some good racing for him. We've got Varkonya Zoltan and then Adam Rios, who's a guy that we know really well, Steve. And then leading the way for Onid is Leon Vesparos, James Cowley and Alfie Bevan. And then for Potato Nation, it's Nigel O'Brien, Gerben Kelly, and Tom goes. Where does Tom go? That's what I want to know. Where does he go?
He goes in his car and drives around circuits very fast. I think that's where he goes. And he's currently on his way to Fuji.
Yeah, he's on a plane. Everybody's hopped onto a plane and away they go. Yeah.
We have invented speed travel.
Yes, we have. Yeah, that is the wonders, isn't it, of sim racing. You haven't got to pack up and travel and go and book a hotel and deal with time zones and sleep deprivation or anything like that. We could just go wherever we want, can't we? At a drop of a click.
Yeah. Exactly. All it takes is a click of a button, and you're going from somewhere like Sebring all the way over to Bahrain without any worries in the world, and it takes all of 2 seconds to load up.
Indeed. Is I can see he's still in there. Is Johnny still here? Johnny, are you still here?
I'm still here, mate.
You got a feel for Ben in that one, haven't you?
Yeah, he had a really good round 2. I think he finished 7th in round 2, and he was looking strong.
That. Okay. Yeah.
He's one of these people that doesn't always qualify well, but he will work his way forward throughout the race, and he gets good results throughout. So I was a little bit gutted for him, but if he's been cutting corners, he's going to get it, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, obviously, I don't know because we don't give you the opportunity to see what cuts people have got, and hopefully that will come to the broadcasting API at some point, so we can see what drivers are dealing with. But it looks like the Nick server is being booted up. And I'll be interested to see where you stand at the moment for Onid, because there was quite a gap between you and Grdc, wasn't there, at the end of round 2?
Yeah, I was hoping we'd make some moves to catch them up, but we scored exactly the same points in round 2, so we'll just have to see what happens in that round. We had a good round, obviously, with Alfie and James finishing 3rd and 4th, so yeah, we'll just have to see.
Hopefully that gives you the hopefully it means that you still got opportunity for Fuji.
Yeah, hopefully. And if anyone knows me that well, I love a bit of wet weather, and I always throw it in with my championship. So we should be well prepared for it. Whether any good it is a different question.
Yeah. So Max, have you done much wet racing in LMU?
Not really in LMU, to be fair. I've touched it here and there. I mean, of course, if anyone knows me personally, I'm very much from an F1 background. I've recently dived into the LMU scene, and over when I was racing in F1, I was very much a wet weather genius. I was very much the wet weather merchant. But
don't hold back on your own feelings there. I know how good you
modest.
Are. Yeah, modest. Yeah.
This is what I've been told from other people.
Okay.
I'm not blowing my own ego.
Your mum doesn't count, Max. You know that, right?
No, but I've tried it on this game. I have tried it round Fuji. Actually, it was one of the first tracks I did wet weather racing round, and it just makes it a completely different challenge. It's very much you've got to really rely on that downforce, and again, you got to rely on your own confidence, and it's so difficult to get that because all it takes is one mistake, and you're back to square one. So you're constantly learning as the circuit develops each lap, and if you're the first one there, you're the first one onto the scene, you're gonna see yourself potentially go off the road because you don't know how to react to the conditions.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, I was just going to say the server is up, so I think the guys might be joining. But just wanted to talk about another initiative that we started recently. Me and Johnny actually. I don't know if you managed to find that. No, you didn't manage to find that poster. Don't worry. But we have a new initiative called GridLink, which is basically the idea is that we think that pretty much every community has 2 or 3, 4 or 5 drivers that want to race the lesser played sims like Race Room or AMS2 or Assetto Corsa. Like, we've all got 3 or 4 that want to do it, but we don't have enough to do a championship on its own. So we've created a thing called GridLink, which is meant to be an event system or an event championship that is shared amongst all of these different communities. So if you're in a community and you want to race AMS2 or one of these other sims, check out Gridlink, because we're just starting a new championship on AMS2. Johnny, I don't know if you want to just give the details on that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, so we're launching. We had our launch event last night, which was a really good way to start off the new community, and then we are actually bringing in the new championship. It's going to start in a couple of weeks. It's going to be for any British race fans. We're doing the Ginetta G40 Juniors. We're going to do a 16-round championship across 8 weeks, and it's a world championship. So we're using many different tracks that come as part of AMS2. So it's going to be a really good championship. We're looking forward to getting it going, and the likes of Grdc are involved, TSRC, Renwelton, Track are involved as well. So we've got all these communities involved, and like Steve said, it's a kind of Steve, we've always said, we've emphasised, haven't we? We're not taking drivers away from these communities, but we're actually creating something where there is many people in these communities that will want to play these games. So we're literally getting involved and started this little initiative and this little community for the sole purpose is we're not going to run LMU, we're not going to run ACC, we're not going to run iRacing, we're just going to run the lesser used sims. So we're really looking forward to getting that going, and like I said, last night's event was really good. I think we had an 18 strong grid for AMS2 is actually really good. So it was really good, and we just want to kind of play the sims we like. It's great having LMU and it's brilliant, but there is some other ones out there that have a lot of variation to what you can actually race.
And I think actually this is kind of like a testament to the concept of bringing communities together tonight, right? Like the drivers that are racing here tonight, they're not all going to, like, it's not like Adrr stealing a bunch of drivers. We're all going to go back to our communities and race in our communities. That's exactly the idea of Gridlink. Is like, those that want to do these lesser played sims, they come together and then they go back to their community, and we get a good race out of it. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's really cool.
A lot we haven't got enough to do as well, Steve, you know.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, Steve can't even manage the stuff he's got to manage anyway. So what's another thing on top of it?
So true.
Admin of the year, I heard.
Admin of the year. That's
Admin
it.
of the year, yeah. Admin of the year, and I'm broadcast of the year too, as you can see. Oh,
We got a lovely lamppost for you there.
Yeah. I only give people the best.
Oh, there you go. That's classic Paul Glover. That.
Yeah. Indeed. Right. Qualifying has just begun.
I will have some standings for you very shortly.
Brilliant. That sounds good. We've already got Jubin Kelly with a penalty. So I'm guessing crossed the line before it went green. That's the second time we've seen somebody do that.
Yep.
But the practice looked really dark. This doesn't look as dark, does it? But I think it's the qualifier's dry by the looks of it.
Yeah, qualifying being dry and the race being wet will really throw these drivers off, because of course you're going to get into the rhythm of 5 minutes. Well, it's 5 minutes, but it's enough time to build somewhat of a rhythm of completely dry running. You're going to know what the car feels like. You're going to get used to that, get an idea of the grip, and then that's all going to be wiped from you instantly to a greasy, horrible track surface that completely changes, and the balance of the car changes as well. So it's going to be really difficult for these drivers to keep themselves in check, and also to just really focus on the action that's going to be at hand. So it's going to be a real challenge for them to adapt to these conditions.
Yes, indeed. Right, so I think what we'll do is we will ride on board with Tom Goes and see where he ends up. Hey!
Well, let's certainly see where he does go in this one. I did see what you did there,
He's
Paul.
probably sick and tired of that, as you know, like...
I'm not sick of it. Oh, I love the joke.
Thank you,
I
brilliant.
find it amazing.
Brilliant. Nathan Healy's back at his pit garage, so yeah, some of the drivers still on their out laps. Take it away with Tom.
here we are then, heading down that main straight. We said it was quite clear and quite bright. It's got extremely dark very quickly over the course of the past couple of minutes. Down to first gear, slowly bring that power back up. Of course, traction control enabled in these cars, so you can slowly bring it up and then properly floor that throttle all the way down now into turn 3. You're going to be braking just around about 75 meters. The rear of the car will be dancing on a knife's edge as you then head into turn 4. A really long corner. Keep it in 4th gear. Keep feathering that throttle to give yourself the torque and the momentum to make it through it, and instantly back over to the right hand side, down to 2nd gear. Through turn 5, a little bit wide from the apex and not really using as much of the circuit as he possibly would have wanted, as he now flicks through the right hander of turn 6 to bring him down into arguably one of the more awkward parts of this circuit, this little hairpin. You slam the brakes hard, get the car down to 1st gear, really roll it through, then instantly flicking it back to the left and then flooring that throttle over the curb and then into this extremely difficult final sector. A lot of off-camber moments, very easy to understeer wide and maybe just miss your braking point. Here we are with Tom, and he brakes just after the curb. Let the rear of the car turn yourself around, use the throttle to help do so as we then head into the final corner. And for Tom goes, where will he go and where will he end up in this field as he heads up to that start-finish line? Around about 2 tenths down through the first couple of sectors, but as he pulled it back through the final one, up to the line he will go. And Tom, he currently sits 24th, and he will go up to 7th fastest. Not too bad there from Tom goes, and he's ended up quite well.
Yeah, he did, hasn't he? Yeah, he's gone rather well there. With 1 minute to go, Sandham Jacobs was in P2, but he's now fallen back down into P5. Lucas now taking up the P2 position, and Mark Winner and Tom Osborne, the Adrr crew, represented again so far in qualifying, but Zoltan is leading the way.
Yeah, like we saw last time out, Zoltan Varkonyi leading the way and could be taking pole position for finally now being that final that back-to-back pole position, which we nearly saw in Bahrain, but Barassa got it taken away by Zoltan. But still, surely I think another lap could be available to some of these drivers throughout this session. Barassa 2 tenths behind Zoltan Varkonyi. We're currently with Sander Jacobs,
How close
down
it is between
bit.
Per and CB. Look at that.
Oh, that is extremely close between the pair. 2,000s, of course, we saw in Bahrain that couple just under a tenth separating the top 4 at the start of that session. Sander Jacobs makes his way out the final corner. Is he going to find any sort of improvement? Currently lies 5th fastest, 9 tenths off Zoltan Varkonyi. This is going to be it for these drivers. The final laps have started to be decided now, and Jacobs across the line does not find an improvement, stays 6th fastest. Lucas Barassa was up in the first, down in the middle. Are we going to see him take that pole position away from Zoltan Varkonyi, or could the Lamborghini fight back? Grdc versus Adrr, of course, with these two. Across the line goes Barassa. What's this going to be? Does he snatch it away? No, misses out by 2 tenths of a second. He doesn't find an improvement. I think those tyres just got away from him near the end. Winner not on for an improvement. CB looking to improve on his previous best to potentially shoot himself up at least into that top 5 if he can. So for Tim CB in that Ferrari, where does he go after he crosses the line? He goes 7th fastest. Not too bad at all. A strong effort there from Tim CB. I think he's best qualifying of the evening. And we've got Adam Rios coming to the line. Another tricky qualifying so far here, Paul. As he heads up to the line, can he break into that top 20 at the very least?
Yeah, really, he won't be happy with 24, but I think he's got 2 personal bests in the first and second sector. He's currently 2.5 seconds off the lead, but as he crosses the line, only up into P18. That's quite surprising for me. But we've got a couple of cars tonight. We've got Nigel O'Brien. So he's going to come across the line now. But we've got Alexander as well. He's currently in P33. He's set a couple of personal bests. So, and he moves up into 30 seconds. So, yeah, another good qualifying. Right, okay. I've not been, have I? Yeah, I have. I've been given the standings. What we'll do first, though, let's do the starting grid. and then I can worry about getting the standings up and running for you.
Okay then, so we do have our first back-to-back pole sitter of the evening. Our double pole sitter is Zoltan Fakoni with Lucas Barassa in second. Same front row as we saw last time out at the Bahrain Outer Circuit. It's Mark Jawinner and Tom Osborne, followed by James Crowley and Alfie Bevan in row 3. Then followed by Tim Seaby and Sander Jacobs. Tim having a really strong qualifying this time around here in Fuji. Then for row 5, we have Tom Goes. He ended up in 9th. That's where he went. And Robert Pure in 10th.
Cracks me up.
Hendrik de Vries in 11th on row 6 with Jordan 40, two of the GRDC boys. Then with Alistair Ramsey. So GRDC 11th, 12th and 13th, followed by Ben Brown in 14th. Then it's Leon and Martin Lewis in 15th and 16th. Lewis not really being able to capitalise ever since that Sebring round. Followed by Dave Wood and Adam Rios, who has struggled in these past 2 events. Dean Power on row 10 with Richard Cook in 20th. And then it's Fabian and Gerban Kelly in row 21st and 22nd. Followed by Vladislav and Zach Silva on row 12. 10 more cars to go after this one. Then it's Manders and Tyler Hammer on row 13. Followed by Lawrence and James West on row 14. Row 15, we will have Mark Cooley and Andy Hearn. Disappointing qualifying there from Cooley, actually. And then Chris McDevitt and Alexander Michelin. On row 17, we have Nigel O'Brien. Really struggled there, did Nigel, and Nathan Healy. And then to round out your field, we'll have Justin Wellbeloved in 15th place. And here are your standings here, Paul. Take us through them.
Yeah, so Adrr leading the way with 1,046 points. They scored 353 in round 3. GRDC scoring 296, giving them a total of 915. Onid scoring 224 with a total of 714. And Potato Nation scoring a total of 149, giving them an overall score of 432. I think Onid have closed that gap a little bit, but can they do it? Can they do it in this round? Who knows? We've got racing to go.
Yes, it certainly is. All down to how this race now commences. Can Onid fight back against GRDC, or have these standings been set in stone as we're now making our way to that green flag command? So, for Zoltan Fakoni, can he convert this pole position into a race win, or will Adrr take all 4 race wins and sweep the entire evening? Or will Zoltan finally be able to capitalise? Of course, there is some interchangeable conditions in this one. It will be Grdc, and we go to green flag racing as we head down into turn 1. Oh, and there's contact. Ben Brown
and Tom Goes.
Oh, and it's a huge smash down that front straightaway. As you can see, cars all over the road. It's a Ferrari, a Corvette in the background as well. As you can see, Zoltan Fakoni able to keep that position ahead of Lucas Bassa. As you can see, oh, look at that, all in the background, stricken cars everywhere.
Sorry.
And that was a monumental collision.
Yeah, it started what looked like Ben Brown came across Tom Goes as we rode with him. So, yeah, that's incredible. What I'll do is I'll try and see if I can get us a replay of what happened there.
Yeah, Tom Goes, unfortunately, after a strong qualifying, it just seems he's gone down the order. And unfortunately, he's ended up down in 27th place after that one. And we now see Fakoni leading the way. He's got a second over Barassa. He's had actually an immense start to this race.
There's a couple of cars off in the background as well that's gone off. I don't know who it is, but a couple of cars that...
Yeah, there's a yellow flag now up on the road.
Yeah, Fabian, I think it might have been Fabian was one of the drivers that went off. So, but yeah, I'll try and I'll see if I can sort of some replay of what happened at the start there.
Yeah, we'll try and get that replay. So, Zoltan Fakoni with a good start. And as he now makes his way through that final sector, he's 2.7 seconds clear. He's absolutely dropped Lucas Barassa, as Jawinner currently lies in 3rd, half a second back from Barassa, as we've had 2 retirements, that being Ben Brown and Vladislav, who have unfortunately retired from this race. Barassa 3 seconds behind. Zoltan Vakonyi really is flying. And
sorry, I didn't realise that I didn't realise that I'd done that. Sorry, should have said something. There you go. Right, apologies about that. I'm looking at the replay. I wasn't looking at the main screen, so apologies.
That's all right. I thought there was a car waiting to come out the pit lane.
No,
look at that. Vakonyi really far in front, and now we actually see. I think that's Alfie Bevan, Jawinner, and also Coley now going into somewhat of a scrap. Also Tom Osborne getting involved in this one. Round the outside goes Bevan, and that's allowed Osborne to get the switch back on the pair of them. What a move that is from the young Brit if he's able to pull that one off. Osborne trying to make his way through now up into that 4th place, but I just don't think it will have the run against the Aston Martin. Of course, it will favour the Aston Martin and also the Lamborghini as well, who looks to the inside of Jawinner. There could be some contact. There is some contact. The Lamborghini into the side of the Aston Martin, and the Aston Martin set into a spin in this round. Jawinner round once again, and he falls down the field. As Rios, in all of that carnage actually here, has moved himself up into 7th. That just shows how much chaos was at the opening part of that race. He started down in 18th place. He's up into 7th by the time we finish that 2nd lap. That opening skirmish of cars all over the road really helping Grdc as they see Rios and Pure up in 7th and 8th. And also Vakonyi leading the way with Ramsey a little bit further down with a replay of that start action. So why don't you take us through this, Paul, to see what exactly happened?
Oh, yeah, okay. So we're watching Tom goes. I think there was also some carnage at the back behind it. I saw another car facing the wrong way, but I think Tom gets a really poor start here. And you can see that the Aston behind makes a move. But then Ben, I think, tries to get round that Aston and then just comes across, unfortunately. But then I don't think holds his brakes, or maybe he does. But yeah, then unfortunately he goes back into the crowd, and then carnage ensues.
Just a quick one. Do you know where Mark Gridmasters has ended up? In what position?
What now? He's currently
ended up
P16.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the sound on that replay for some reason. I only just realised at the end. But anyway, yeah, that's unfortunate. Why are you asking that, Steve?
Oh, the reason why I ask is because I know it's a team championship, but there is the driver championship in the background, and that would hand Vakonyi the championship if things stay as they are.
Yeah, unfortunately he had some contact and got spun. So
yeah, I saw it.
All three wide there. I think that's between West and Co. As there's Cook on the inside, and there's also Silver squabbling in that one. I've just got Jordan 40 in front of Jawinner, and it's actually Silver who comes out on top. A beautiful move around the outside of not only that was Cooley, but also West as well. Yeah, he has. Yeah. He was up in that 14th place. I mean, 3 into 1 does not go, and I think, unfortunately, the Porsche had to give way, and it was that spin that cost him. As Alistair Ramsey now going around the outside of Rios. The 2 GRDC boys going at it. You can see the windscreen wipers going absolutely mental on the front of these cars. As I think that's Rios actually coming into pit lane. Sarah Vakonyi as well. Are they swapping onto some wets?
Well, I think some drivers probably would have started on wets. And if you haven't, I think it's probably quite a risky move to do that. So yeah.
See, big crash.
Oh.
Into the back of CB. Under braking. I don't know if CB went slow or made a mistake under braking himself, but then Alistair Ramsey went straight into the back of him. And for Alistair Ramsey, he's had such a fantastic evening so far. He's not finished out the top 10 once. That damage and what has just come from it might have just ended that streak, and unfortunately for him, has seen him drop down to 13th place. But that was huge contact as we see Rios and Vakonyi emerge from the pit lane. Did they start on the slicks? Or are they switching over to the wets now and everybody else is on the slicks? That's the question. And for Zoltan Vakonyi, I know it's a team's championship, but that might just see the drivers' championship slip out of his hands.
There's your answer. Everybody else is in the on the wets. So yeah, we didn't see what they were on before they pitted. Unfortunately, should have thought about that, shouldn't I? But anyway, we've we're seeing some positional changes. Mark Winner now happy to P9 already.
Yeah, I think he's, excuse me, capitalised on all the battling and all the chaos that has happened around him, all the contact. He's side by side with 40,
Jordan.
is there?
Is it Jordan? 40?
Yeah, it's Jordan.
Yeah.
And 40 just having to give way in that one. Some big contact made between the parents. Actually, you'll have Gerben Kelly to potentially get involved, and Robert Pure as well. You can see the spray now being picked up off these cars, and that will certainly hamper some of these drivers. But of course, for Zoltan Verkonyi as well, in GRDC, he had a similar issue like this around Fuji. Actually, it was a dry start into a wet race, and it was actually one I think Mark Cooley ended up being the winner of, and he currently lies a little bit further down throughout the field. But that's a second blunder here at Fuji that he could have really made amends of, and for Zoltan Verkonyi, that's surely the Drivers' Championship gone.
The wiper's really working here, isn't it?
They're getting rid of everything. They're getting rid of all the spots.
Yeah. I mean, they're moving so quick, but I think they need to work on the animation. I
don't think they've got a contact patch at the moment.
No, they haven't. No. Interesting, isn't it? Anyway, Gerben Kelly then currently in P10, but you can see the spray that will be causing the drivers. We saw down the back straight, didn't we? Some of the drivers were pulling out the spray just so they could see the braking markers.
Yeah, of course. You're driving blind in that spray, and you need to see those markers. So, I mean, it helps to memorise the circuit. Of course, try and... I mean, it's difficult to memorise every piece of
what happened to the race leader? Did we miss that? Or did we miss him losing P1?
No, that was Verkonyi coming into pit lane.
Oh, was it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
I missed that then.
Because on those slicks at the start of the race, he gapped Barassa and, of course, had to come into pit lane.
Yeah. Okay, so he's... that's really hurt him, isn't it? He's down now in P23. But we've got a battle here for P1, Max.
We certainly do, and it's James Coley for Onid versus, of course, Lucas Barassa, who's trying to make it 3 out of 4 wins this evening, as there's a little bit of door banging between the pair as they head down that main straight. And this could actually, with all this chaos, really help Onid here, of course, Paul, with their squabble with GRDC, and James Coley has actually been able to make it through. Could Bevan make it through to make it a 1-2? And then GRDC could be in all sorts of trouble when it comes to those standings.
Yeah.
Because a lot of their drivers are quite a way down the field, especially two of their front runners of Rios and Verkonyi.
Well, Johnny Ash did say when he was with us, didn't he, that they do a lot of wet weather racing in his community, and you know, I was like, yeah, whatever in my head, but he actually might have had a point. So, yeah, at the moment, James Cowley leading the way. Superb.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it's going to be, of course, if Adrr aren't able to win this one, it'll be the only team to beat them over the course of the race, and Barassa really close under braking. I mean, we've seen it time and time again throughout this evening, haven't we? Of course, Paul,
he's lost the position.
That's the mark. Oh, he's going to drop down behind Bevan. I was going to say it's really good under braking, but then, of course, it's good on the acceleration as well. But in those wet weather conditions, maybe just being a little bit too slidey. But Bevan's made it through, and it's now an Onid 1-2. What a turn of events this has been. They've been up there and thereabouts, especially with Bevan. But Coley's been, I think, the highest of a 5th place finish. And he's now leading the race from his teammate, and these two are surely going to play fairly to try and beat GRDC. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Verkonyi, Rios down the order, Ramsey in 13th. There's no real front runners here, except potentially of Pure. He's in 11th for GRDC.
Yeah, he's still outside the top 10, though. I mean, the next few cars are all Adrr. So you got Barca, Jacobs, Osborne. You got Wood for Onid as well in P6, so he's repping as well, but he's got Leon right behind him. So yeah, currently as things stand, he's also owning some good haul of points for the Onid guys.
This is going to be an absolutely massive swing, and also with the fact that Johnny did say that never count out the comeback. Stranger things have happened. are we about to see those stranger things and see something miraculous happen over the course of the next 8 minutes? Joe Winner has been able to recover up to 9th place, sorry, after that spin all over the back of CB. Of course, now as they squabble over their positions, and as we head down into, of course, that late-breaking hairpin. There's Alistair Ramsey behind Tom Goes. And you can see the damage on that Mustang from that earlier contact, and it's really just bent, like dented and bent in that front right-hand side.
Oh, and he's got another bit of contact there as well. Mark Winner then passed Tim CB, so he's now back up into P8, and we'll try and close the gap to Masters fallen down to P4. So Sander Jacobs has got past him. Not just a little bit, he's 1.6 seconds, 7 seconds up the road, so I think he's made a mistake somewhere. But CB has just got Pat Mark Gowena, but he's obviously made a mistake as well, so because he's also got Gerben Kelly now ahead of him. So these wet weather conditions really throwing it into the mix.
They certainly are, and it just seems that it's not really favouring the Aston Martin. So the Astons are really struggling at the moment. I think that's a squabble between Robert Pure and co heading down that main straight. As we see, of course, I think that's Nigel O'Brien potentially in the fray as well as they head down into turn 1. Jordan 40 in all of this too.
Yeah,
is any move going to be made?
There he goes.
To the inside. Is he going to be able to pull it off? He's extremely late on those brakes as the driver in the Lexus, and he makes his way past Jordan 40. That was really brave, and it just shows having confidence on the brakes around a circuit like this in these conditions. You can gain places and just cut through the water and be able to glide your way up the field.
Yeah, Tom Goes gets past Gerben Kelly. Zoltan Vakonya down in P20th overall at the moment. He's come back a little bit after his pit stop to change onto wet tyres, but I mean the top two are just away at the moment. I mean Sander Jacobs is over 5 seconds back from them, but something's happened with this lot. So this is side by side with Silva and Cook. Then you've got
nice
contact
move there.
behind.
Oh, and round with the Lexus. Who's that in the Lexus
Dean
who has
Power.
just gone round? Oh, Dean Power, unfortunate there from him. As he's having it was probably his best race of the evening up until that point. And unfortunately he's seen himself drop down the field to 21st. And it just shows how close that is, how close that field spread is. That small mistake, he was battling with the likes of Ramsey and Goes for that up to 11th place, and has dropped down to 21st, all thanks to one spin, and was able to recover it quite quickly as well.
Yeah, he was, and Richard Cook all over the back of Zach Silva then. And they go down the back straight. BMW versus Lamborghini. Can he make a move? No, I think that Lambo's just got enough on the Beamer, but he's taken the inside line, trying to go defensive anyway. And, let's see how this works out. Oh, he's gone deep, the Lambo. Oh, that's a point. There's contact on the cutback, minimal, but a good overtake nevertheless.
Yeah, Richard Cook nicely done there. Was forced the mistake there from Silva, and unfortunately for the Lamborghini, sees himself drop down an extra place and down to that 16th, and Richard Cook promotes himself to that 15th, and actually he's got Cook back, as if they're still squabbling, I think, over that 15th spot, and potentially going wide through turn 2 from the BMW as we're on board with James West as he's trying to hunt down the car in front. Let's see if he can make his way up into the 28th spot in this race. And for Alfie Bevan up at the front of the field, he's actually been able to get past his teammate in all of this, and look at the gap they've built over Barassa, who's actually dropped down to 5th. But Aston Martin really struggling, and it's actually allowed both Jacobs and Osborne through to Aston Martin, two BMWs, exactly what they need in their races.
Yeah, see that Tim CB is battling away with Dave Wood for P7.
CB as well, actually.
I'm having some. I've never had the game glitch on me like it has tonight. Doing a broadcast, I'm having like these odd stutters, but that's very unusual. That never happens. So I don't know what's changed and what's causing this tonight. But I wonder
It's your
if
dodgy app, mate.
is that what it is? Yeah. I was going to say it was your face, but anyway, right.
No.
Cheers.
You're welcome. But yeah, I've had the game crash on both PCs tonight, which again never happens. So I don't know. I don't know if it's because we've got so many cars. I don't know if I broadcasted this many cars before. So
No, we definitely have. We've done 36 in Adrr, yeah. But yeah, look, Craig will tell you that this is a common thing. So maybe it's a thing.
It is. There is big stability issues throughout this game. There has been a lot of issues recently that I know of in GRDC with some drivers. So it certainly is, I think, a game stability issue. I've heard a lot of people as well have had to like in forums have asked about if it's going to be updated in this new European Le Mans series launches. We're seeing Zoltan Verkonyi now to the outside of Silver. He's been able to make his way up to 16th rather quickly. And Silver deep once more under braking. He just crumbles under that pressure, and I think because he's on the inside, and of course you're not really able to see your braking point, I think he just gets caught out ever so slightly, and it ends up seeing him go deep.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Andy Hearn up into P18, and that's put Jordan 40 down to P19. James West and Lawrence are battling, so P28 and P29. I think James West has lost out, to Lawrence, so he's just gone past him. Mark, battle continues for P6.
Leon will go over the back of Barassa. Of course, the man that's been so dominant this evening, and Leon's been nowhere near him. It just shows that switch in conditions. And it really does show that Onid certainly do own these wet weather races, because they've got a 1-2, and some of the drivers that have been down battling for those lower 10s points, 10s positions, should I say, the likes of Leon, and also I think Dave Wood has been quite low down the order. Have seen themselves at the front, near the top of this order, and they've been really strong. And look at this, Barassa, who we thought potentially, if you told us this at the start of the evening, you would have thought, what? No way this is going to be happening. But it just shows how these conditions shake things up. And Leon, now around the outside of Lucas, he's been really struggling, has the Aston Martin. Of course, that heavier BMW will enjoy these conditions a little bit more. And there's some contact. Barassa just able to hold on to things. And Leon, I think, just lets off the throttle, allows him to keep the position to then floor it once again around the outside. Of course, Javina is all over the back of this. And Leon has to just sit behind once more as he looks to the outside. I think this is actually the end of the race, potentially, as Bevan might just be coming up to the line now to finish things off. As we look to the outside line, yes, he is. So Bevan has won here in Fuji. Onid break the Adrr streak and take that race victory here. A brilliant drive from both Bevan and Cooley. And it's an Onid 1-2. No, it's an Onid 1-2, followed by an Adrr third in Sander Jacobs. Then it's Osborne, Barassa. And who comes out in that squabble between Barassa and Leon? Is it going to be the BMW or the Aston Martins? They make their way to the line. And it looks like it was just the Aston Martin who was able to hold on. And for Barassa, he gets 5th place. And with that as well, Jawina in 7th. Does that mean here, Steve, that is a Jawina P1 in the driver's standings?
Where did
Barassa finished 5th, Verkonyi finished 15th.
Okay, give me a minute and I'll have a look for you.
I'm going to have a quick dive into the positions. But Paul, that was a great race, and 40 smashes it over the line. That's things you'd love to see, a little bit of a celebratory crash over the line.
Yeah, no, another great race. I think it's fair to say the wet weather conditions really mixing things up for us today in race 4. I think it's fair, like you pointed out, the Aston drivers were really struggling around Fuji in the wet, and Chris McDevitt comes to cross the line. Porker. And then we've got Nick Manders in the Iron Danes car. And then Nigel O'Brien in the Iron Lynx Lamborghini to come across the line. And everybody else is... So unfortunately in that one we had 5 DNFs. James West being one of those, Nathan Healy, Vladislav, Justin Wellbeloved, and as we saw at the start of the race, Ben Brown.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for some of them. I think most of them were really just casualties of that first lap incident, and it was a huge shunt down that main straight. And yeah, it was a good race to end off the evening. And for Onid, we all thought it might have been GRDC to break that streak of Adrr race victories, but it was Onid. And they certainly did put that practice to good use, and it was a 1-2.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. I think, kind of goes back to what Johnny was saying before the beginning of race 4, is that, some of his guys are pretty strong in the wet, and that came true, just like how sometimes a weather forecast does.
Yeah, certainly does. And I think we got at least the top 3 in the drivers' standings in the Discord. And your drivers' champion for this evening, it wasn't Mark your winner, was it, Paul? It was a man that took 2 race victories, the only driver to take double race victories this evening, Lucas Barassa.
Yeah, unbelievable. Mark Gewinner then into P2 in the driver's standings, and Varkonyi in P3. So representing GRDC there, but 2 of the other drivers taking the top 2 steps.
Adrr have done well this evening. I think they also have, thanks to the poor results from GRDC, and of course how big that gap was to Onid, also take the team's title in that one as well. So Adrr making this event, of course running it as well. I would say it's been a successful evening for them, taking both titles. Some may say it's fixed, some may say not. I mean, but they've done well.
Yeah, I think Steve was
just
pretty
a quick
confident,
one.
weren't you, Steve? You were pretty confident tonight, weren't you?
What of winning?
Yeah.
Well, see, this is the thing. Like, whenever I go into a community, there's always quick guys, and we've got quick guys. So I just feel like every community is going to have quick guys. It just seems like Adrr's got some quick guys. Which is really good. So yeah, when I saw our lineup tonight, I was like, this looks like we've got a decent lineup here. But actually, yeah, but I don't want to say I'm surprised, because I believe in the guys and I know that they're quick, but I always expect other communities to have really fast drivers as well. And clearly we saw in the rounds just then that they do. It just, maybe things just went our way. So yeah, I'm really, really over the moon that the guys won. It's been brilliant. Just one little housekeeping thing. Can you just tell me when the server is switched off so I can get the results down?
It's switched off.
It's already gone. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's already gone.
I'll be back with results very soon.
Okay.
Okey-dokey.
Yeah. We can just talk amongst ourselves for.
How about look at the last where we left round 3 while I get these together.
Yes, that's a good shout.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on. I need to load in the. Hold on a second, everybody. Bear with me.
Got to bring in the standings back from the class ones.
Yeah, I keep overwriting the file, so I just want to make sure that I've got the. No, that's not it. Where is it? Where's he put them? I can't remember where he's put them. Sorry, everybody. He did. There's too many messages.
There should be.
Yeah, it's okay. I can't remember where he. Oh, he might be putting me in broadcast chat. There we go. Right.
He has put him in broadcast.
Yeah, that's it. Right. There's too many chats. You see, that's the problem. Right. Okay. Here they come. Bosh.
There we are. That's how we left, of course, Bahrain with the standings as that. And I think the real one we need to look out for here, of course, Paul, is have Onid done enough to jump GRDC?
That's a big if. That's quite a big gap there, isn't it? That's just over 200 points. So,
It is, and the highest we've seen all evening is from
yes.
round 3 with Adrr with 353. So it will take a huge points tally if they can.
Yeah, you need a huge swing there, don't you? I think they probably closed it up, but I do wonder if GRDC have done enough to hold on to P2. Hopefully, Steve's maths is on point. Fantastic stuff. But we're just waiting for him to do the maths and work it all out for us. Yeah, I'm just waiting. We don't really have much more to talk about, unfortunately, between ourselves. So, but yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say this event's been a success, Max.
I think it has. I mean, it's brought 4 communities together. It's given them the chance to prove themselves, and I hope to see that there's more to come, and I hope more of these Gridmasters events can happen. You never know, bring a rotation or even more communities in, so we get more cars, so potentially 5 teams at a point, or you then rotate out a certain few if you get enough to really strengthen that grid and somewhat do a round robin to really show who is the strongest team in these communities. And yeah, I think it's been a very strong debut event with all the drivers really being hard but fair races.
Yeah, indeed, and I. It's putting on an event with 4 other communities. You never quite know how it's going to go. Especially, are you going to get enough interest and so forth? And I think some people need more poking than others. But it's generally gone really well, and I like the format. They're not, the races aren't too long. They're so which means that the gaps don't widen too much. But what it also does mean is that, as we've seen, if drivers make a mistake, you really get penalised, especially if you go get a penalty on the formation lap, which we saw today. And even if, like we saw in round 3, with Ben Brown getting a drive-through, was battling at P8, P9 around there, and then found himself down in P24 at the end because the rest of the group aren't too far behind. So it is about trying to keep your nose clean as much as it is trying to gain positions, and that's a really fine balance, isn't it?
It is. It is a really. It's just a really fine margin of error. If you take one little step of over aggression, either be an overtake or overall just under braking or attacking, it can all change in a blink of an eye. And I think in all of this, we have got the standings after the final round. And ladies and gentlemen, have GRDC done enough?
They have. But they only did close that gap, didn't they?
Oh, they really did.
They really did.
I think that was 201 points after round 3 to bring it down to 140 points. That is still a big swing.
Yeah, so Adrr winning the first Gridmasters event with a total of 1,369 and scoring a total of 323 in round 4. GRDC taking the second spot with 1,146, scoring 231 points. Onid taking the bottom step of the podium, scoring 291, giving them a grand total of 1,005. And then we have in 4th Potato Nation, scoring 163 points with a grand total of 595. So yeah, I think it's fair to say Potato Nation might need to do some practice for next time. A bit of a gap there between the rest and themselves, but yeah, I hope they've all thoroughly. I hope everybody enjoyed the event. I've definitely enjoyed it, broadcasting and commentating along your site yourself, Max, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure too. Thank you for having me here, Paul, and also Steve as well, for allowing me to join you guys. But it was a very fun evening, even though Potato Nation came 4th. it was still fun. It's a community night. It's nothing overly serious. Of course, you want to make it serious but fun at the same time. It's all just to test these communities, and they can just have fun racing against one another, put some teams together, and just see how everything turns out. It's a nice little night to bring everybody together and to really share the passion we have, not only for racing but for LMU as well.
Yeah, great stuff. And just some news that's coming in. Ben Brown has been given a 15-second penalty, and Alistair Ramsey has also been given a 5-second penalty. I don't think it's really going to do too much to the overall standings, but they're the only penalties that have been given this evening, which I think also says a lot about the racing tonight as well. So fantastic stuff from every driver, and thank you to all the communities that have taken part this evening. And Max, I'll leave the final words with you.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here for the first Adrr Gridmasters event, and yeah, thank you to all the teams as well for turning up and putting on a show and putting in their teams of drivers. And thank you all watching at home as well. Wouldn't be possible without you guys watching. There'll be no point of a stream. So thank you for you guys too. But make sure you stick around here with Adrr, of course. We've got Flat Out Thursdays making a return ever so shortly for Season 3. We've also got the AEC Endurance. That should be starting up ever so shortly as well. And then also, make sure you check out our shop online, our website, where you can get all these magnificent t-shirts for quite a nice price.
There's mugs too, and socks.
Oh, and there's mugs. Mugs,
yeah,
and,
mugs
socks
and socks
as well.
Yeah. What more do you need?
Exactly. Who wouldn't love drinking out of a lovely Adrr mug? And also there is the Endurance Championship. Register your interest now for that. Of course, dates are still to be confirmed. Same with, of course, the Flat Out Thursdays. But thank you all very much for watching. From me, from Paul, from Steve, it has been an absolute pleasure. And we shall see you all in the next one. Stay safe, stay well. We shall see you later. Thank you and goodbye.